Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live's broadcast of the WTRL Zwift Racing League. We are here with the European, Middle Eastern, and Africa division out here for East-West for men's and women's. We're going to be covering the A category as well as the B, C, and D categories as best we can across all of those in Division 1. We're out on the Watopia waistband. Same thing that the Premier Division did yesterday. I'm Nathan Guerra Dave Towle next to me. And yesterday we saw some crazy fast times, but this morning we also saw some times, Dave, that challenged. This morning in the APAC division, we saw times that were right up against some of those Premier Division times, which tells us that those final thoughts that we had yesterday, leaving the Premier Division in their final race. We have 2 extra races, 10 of them total in the community side of things, everyone. But that this sport, as it's developing, is starting to pull out of the grassroots, those top athletes, and developing this awesome sport from the ground up, Dave.
Absolutely. Nathan, yesterday, also, that old saying, it's not over till it's over, or until the larger lady sings, as they say. We saw some big changes yesterday. It's pretty straight ahead, right? A 27 and a little change kilometer course, let's say 27.5 on Watopia's waistband here. But we saw some teams self-destruct. It came down to getting out to a good start, staying on the gas. You can lose a rider or 2 along the way. You go into the final 5K with 4 motivated riders who are hitting, you're going to be needing to touch on 50 kilometers per hour as an average speed to win out here. That's pretty close in old money to 30 miles an hour. So it's an aggressive pace that you have to set. You got to stay on it. We should congratulate one of the teams we're going to be watching with the men. We'll jump into the women. As Nathan said, it's a whole landscape that we're covering here. Kirkmeyer, they were part of that World Championship team with our friends at WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League, and we'll be back with them on Thursday. But Nathan, they put more than one. They put a few riders, including Stefan himself, into the La Bamba team. You think of them as a Swedish team, but now really Northern European. So a lot going on. We'll get the guys out on course here, starting in reverse seed based on the seasons table. So you get some real close battles going on here too. There's only 3 points. Well, if you look at third place down to fifth, there's a lot in play here for the overall. Now, unlike the Premier, we're not done after today, Nathan. We, as you know, have 2 more weeks of racing for 10 total for the season. So as I throw it back to you, I know we want to check some boxes before we go out on course here. It's been a wild season up to this point.
Yeah, it has been. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the current standings for the men across all of the categories in this division. We do have the men out on course. They're 3K in. We'll jump in with them in this division once they hit around that first check mark at that 8K or a little bit before then. VCRT are out on course, heading through that 3 kilometer mark with plenty of others starting every minute or so. So let's go ahead and jump right on in though and see where things stand. Is we come into week number 8 of the WTRL Zwift Racing League. Those are actually the splits here. Go ahead. That's the second time I did. They did that in pre-production as well. Kirchner Angry Bees here, though, Dave. As you said, there's a reason why they're at the top there. They've been such an amazing team with Kirchner. 127 points right there. Fujer, they're in second place currently, though. Only 2 points. Fusion ECT, nothing is done here, in my opinion, right now, Dave. Not even close, because yesterday we saw huge changes in point differentiations just like this. So I think in this race here for EMEA East Division 1, definitely going to have a battle going on here for those top 3. Now, tied up for 4th and 5th, though, BZR Sports Solid Esports Team Red and Cryo RDT Men. They're going to be battling it out there, but they could even jump into that 3rd place on the day here. So watch out for that battle for 4th, 5th, and 3rd. Vision EMEA East 105 there, and 6th place DBR RT in 7th, followed up by CCNS Mighty Mallards at 82 points in 8th, and then Wes Zero, followed up by WTRL Volendam. That's how things stand currently for the A's. In the B category, Dave, it's going to be DBR Tornadoes at the top.
135 points for the Tornadoes. It's Montejunto from Pugas sitting in second with 127 points. It's like 1 point difference there. It's really going to come down to who gets the better of the other team out here today, as Belgian Zwift riders sitting in third. Eva Vortex fourth, 115 points, SZ Mimer in fifth. Then you've got Wolfgang ZRG RT3, Cryogen Zonkalon in seventh, SZ Heimdall eighth, Belgian Zwift rider Lions 2, followed by Lions 3, making up our top 10 here. So we do still have a couple races after today, so it's not like everything is on the line here, but we're running out of real estate. As I'll throw it back to you for the C's, Nathan. This one looks competitive.
Yeah, Vikings Valhalla there, 134 points up against the Team Type 1 Sharps, 130. But a little bit of a gap there to Beastmaster Pro. Aine Reye? I'm not probably pronouncing that way off
man,
there, but that's a hard one. I mean, there's a lot of consonants up against some interesting, but that's definitely on me there. We'll figure it out next time there. Team Italy there, though, in 4th place there, followed up by SC Vale. 2 points separation only between 4th, 5th, and 6th, actually. WTRL Caprica, 102. For 6th place, Evo Core, 85 points for 7th, battling with the Belgian Zwift riders Rhinos at 82 points. Crank It Up Dirt, and then Cryogen Icerin tied at 80 points there for 10th right now. And then for the Vikings Augsburg there, 123 at the top there, Dave.
Yeah, you can see SZ Frey with 118 in second, two guys Psycho in third with 113 points. Then we've got another one of the mighty Belgian Zwift Riders teams, the Gorillas 1. They're tied with the Bumblebees of Kirkmeyer, 4th and 5th at 108 points as they stack it up there. 99 for Cryogen Koppenberg at 6th. It's Zesp Chinchillas, 7th, GC on the mend. In 8th, Newbury Velo Lions sitting in 9th, and then PRCC Delta. They round out our top 10 for the Ds. So that's all of the Europe, Middle East, and Africa E1 Division 1 tables for the ABCs and Ds. Now, the women will be out racing. They don't have an East or a West. There's just the women for Europe. And then a little bit later, we'll be in with the West and work our way around the globe. As you said, some great rides coming out of the APAC group to start the day off. Really loved listening to Anna and Kate this morning. And that's certainly very early in the morning for you, Nathan, producing that. It certainly kicks off a big day of racing, but I know that everybody involved just loves Tuesdays at this point. Tuesdays and Thursdays consistently. So much great racing as we always love WTRL. And this team time trial format, tip of the cap to the boys there because this was their creation. They built this from the ground up. Nathan, I think it's fair to say that in everything that's happened in the COVID era, this is a worldwide phenomenon. We have more than thousands. We're into almost 10,000 people that compete semi regularly or regularly in this team time trial discipline. I don't think anyone saw this coming.
Yeah, it definitely is a very, I would say, phenomenon. That's a great word for that. As we have people from all over the world competing on a regular
100
basis in this
nations?
sport.
Yeah.
100 nations, thousands upon thousands of people on a weekly basis organizing. And, you know, that's a great point, David. We're about to head into the 8K mark here for the first team out on course. We'll start getting some splits. So, but I definitely want to give a shout out and just a little bit of sentiment almost to that thought that as we've been covering this and almost taking it a little bit for granted until last night, I thought about it a little bit, how each and every one of these teams has its own ecosystem, its own culture, its own camaraderie that starts to form across the entire world. And these relationships, they have some real meaning to each and every one of these people's lives. And being a part of, as a guest rider just on the OTR team, on the Rivet team, has formed some relationships there for me as well on Thursdays, and seeing how that's connecting people right now. Definitely not something, it's something that we saw in the Zwift world, but not so en masse. You know what I mean? Until just in this past 6 months or so. And then with the launching of the Zwift Racing League and all the work that WTRL has done behind that to organize everyone and connect everyone, it's amazing how those connections, something as simple as putting that kind of work in and putting that kind of organization together, we wouldn't have that. WTRL really glues things together. The broadcast hypes everything up here. And then the riders show up and they put on an awesome show as well as get an amazing workout and compete at something altogether. It's really amazing what we have going on here, and I'm really thankful to be a part of it. So really, really great. But let's go ahead and jump on in, though, with the VCRT boys. They have just crossed into that 8-kilometer mark that we were talking about. This is going to be where we do have the first splits out on course. They'll be coming in just a moment here for the men's splits as VCRT are hammering along 48 kilometers per hour. There is kind of that magic number, Dave, of 50 kilometers per hour a lot of times for a winning time that we've seen often as we do start to bring in some of the splits in just a moment here. VCRT were the first ones to go out. It looks like perhaps did DPAC not show. I have a feeling maybe they have a much later start time because DPAC were pretty high up on the leaderboard, I believe. We'll get confirmation on that, but it'd be interesting to see if DPAC maybe a no show out there today, though. There's a lot of times you get a green by this point, and that's what that green means, is that they have gotten out on course now and are given a go. I am seeing that Evo, they have this little, there's some sort of agreement here that they say 6, I've seen 4, I've seen 3. There's some communication coming through here that's pre-agreed, it looks like, for in-game chat, actually.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little investigating there. That would be a bummer. You never know. With all the technical challenges out there, things will come out of the woodwork. It seems like just when you think you know everything about how this works, something will come along to surprise you. So, Nathan, I would agree with you, going back to what you said about that 50-kilometer per hour mark right there. That seems like the magic number to me. If you can maintain that speed, there's not a whole lot of up or down over the 27.5 kilometers. That's part of what I like about this course so much. It has 95 meters of climbing, so it's not completely flat. There's a couple areas where riders who are struggling, when you hit that 2%, it does get even a little bit worse or harder to hold on to that wheel. But some of the split times coming in, the Danish Dynamite, 10:09. That's very, very quick to get out to 8K. And only 11 seconds back would be Ragnarok, the Vikings Ragnarok. 3 seconds behind them are the Extra Turbo Snails from Evo. So there we go. First times coming in. Now, remembering, I'm so used to saying from stage racing that at the time trial, we'll start in reverse GC order. Well, we don't have a GC here, but what we do have is established pecking order in the community leagues. And with our A men, after 7 weeks of racing completed, it's going to be the top teams that start last. So we seed it based on your previous performances. There's a nice profile of the course today. And that makes it look worse than it is, Nathan, doesn't it?
Well, it's a good call out though to just show the little bumps. Now those bumps definitely it's all relative to how much climbing there actually is out on course, right? So as we do see the riders heading into that 2.5 kilometer lead in, right? That is when they head through the sprint banner, and then that little bump there immediately after that is that oasis that we talk about a lot of times. And then there's going to be the rise into, now this is where we're seeing VCRT head right now through this little rise into that would have been Titans Grove, but then instead it's a left-hand turn over toward the mountain. Then this descent, you see that deep valley there, that's going to be the descent. And then the switchbacks and leaving off of Ocean Boulevard, that's going to be the climb out at about the 16 kilometer mark. As you do see there, leaving also the ruins section, that's going to be where you're going out of town then to 22 kilometers, as you can see, and then on into the 28 for the finish. Out of town is going to be out down by the piers. That's the downtown Watopia that they're speaking about. So that's all the sections, of course. Each one of those bumps, though, not a whole lot of climbing. I think the longest climb that we would see is going to be that about 45 seconds to a minute that VCRT just finished and are leaving the Fuego Flats and heading on over. So that's the course profile for today. We'll take a look at that a couple of times on the day. If I want to bring in a couple of these comments that are coming on in, this is great here, Dave, that we're seeing in response. Coming from Andrew Banky here saying, love WTRL. I get up at 3:20 a.m. for the APAC here. And then, I'm speaking to your sentiment there, Dave. And then also coming in here from Kieran McKenna saying, Dave Towle, the WTRL has brought so many of us together in forming teams and making new friendships built on pain and suffering. Well, those are always sometimes the best because they are some of the most sacrifice, of course. And that's really when it comes down to it, showing each other a lot of love through sacrifice. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And thanks, Kieran, for that note. Nathan, when I was a kid and got involved in cycling, it opened up so many doors and opportunities for me. And meeting people, Irish people like Kieran McKenna, actually was a part of that journey. There's no way that anyone could ever argue to me or that I would agree that cycling doesn't make you a better person. And as you said, the teams that have formed, they all have their own vibe, and I see a lot of that down in the C and D level. That's where it seems like the fun is really at the fore, and I have so much appreciation for those men and women that you don't have to be racing in the A's to be having a great time. I saw Martin sending us a note about the numbers of people. 7,500 people can legitimately say they're part of that WTRL family. 7,500. That's the size of a decent city in some European nations, right? I mean, that's a lot of folks that come together. So taking a look at more split times, it did get a little bit quicker. But we always love our friends from World Elite Zwifters. That's a great group. I hesitate calling them wees, Nathan. It just doesn't sound right.
Wes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
10:03. But
wees would be what I do in the morning when I'm on Zwift. That's for sure. It felt so good to ride this morning, too, I must say. The numbers of folks you're seeing it grow right now, it's pretty incredible what happens when you hit this time of year. So 10:03, very, very quick there at that first check at 8K. Nathan, 5 seconds back is going to be the Mighty Mallards, these boys racing out of New England. Good job, gentlemen. They're having a great ride today, 1 second faster than the Danish Dynamite of DZR.
Yeah, they're doing a solid job here, it looks like, with Evo. But yeah, WEZ, good call there at 10:03. Now, can they go sub 10, though, is going to be the question. I think we will. No, has everybody come on through is going to be the question, I guess, because I think we will see some sub 10s here very shortly. We'll have to wait and see, though. But CCNS Mighty Mallards are 10:08. DZR Dynamite 10:09. Very close here between these. 10:11.
We got a great race.
DZR RT.
And look at it all the way down to. And Nathan, go all the way down to 7th. I mean, go all the way down to the bottom here. It's only 20 seconds separating our top 10. Gentlemen, we got ourselves a Donnybrook going on out here today, Nathan. That is absolutely awesome. I've never been as stoked at a first check as I am right now. We have 10 teams within 20 seconds. It's really hard on this course, as we learned yesterday, to get back 5 seconds, isn't it, Nathan? I mean, there's not a lot to work with out here. Once you get your team up to speed and are hauling along everywhere between, I would say you're going to be going between 40 and 50 kilometers per hour the entire time out here if you want to. This is one of the trickier sectors here. Let's talk about this part of the course, Nathan.
Yeah, this is really tricky. Coming through the dirt sections here, you really need to be right on that wheel. You need to accelerate. So there is the reality of you can gain so much speed. These dirt sections or so much time because these dirt sections are kind of like uphills. The reality of how much speed you can carry through here in comparison to other teams can gain you a good amount of time. They're kind of like, it's funny how it is comparable to a technical section in a mountain bike race or a cyclocross race
Absolutely.
where a rider who's better technically riding through a certain section might gain 1 or 2 seconds every lap. And if you do 10 laps, you do 5 laps, that ends up being a 10 to 15 second gap that someone has to either use power that they have in the tank to close that down on you or just lose time to you. So if you know that this section is a place where you give just that little bit extra more, you're a little more organized to hang onto the wheel, you have a really strong rider pull through this section, you can end up with 5 to 10 seconds more where other riders were not able to do so because they didn't plan for that. So knowing this section, how to ride it, and putting the right rider on the front and just kind of bowling through it, you have to almost make it like a climbing section where you're all just matching power. It's not quite there, but it's almost there. And you ride it right, you can end up with an extra 10 to 15 seconds. So it is a tricky section, as you were saying here. It looks like they Holt took solid pull on through, but now backing off a little bit, 5.3 watts per kilogram. These are about to catch Evo, though, having a really good ride, it looks like.
Yeah, taking a look at our splits coming in from the 8K checkpoint, Kirkmeyer putting a 947 up on top of the board. Cryo RDT through with a 953 and Foudre. So Foudre sitting in second right now. They're the one team that has a chance to overtake Kirkmeyer in the overall battle. Again, a couple of races to go, but it's getting to that point now. We'll really start running out of real estate. And Foudre here sitting in third, but not bad at all. Just 1 second behind Cryo RDT. That's the real conversation. That top three right now starting to separate themselves. It is World Elite Zwifters sitting in fourth, Fusion in fifth. So that's a good look there at the first 8K. It is, as we said, really, really hard to make a big difference out on this course. And Nathan, the Danish team now has this nice motivating team to chase down right in front of them. We saw that with the teams all maintaining such a high speed out here, when you get past and you're traveling at 45K per hour and the team passing you does it at 46K per hour, the two teams completely intermingle there. The algorithm kicks in. And
look at the chat. Sorry, just real quick.
No, please, go ahead.
A little bit of chat coming through from Balenciaga. Balenciaga? And he's saying, not going to catch us, go Evo. So they're trying to hold off, and every right to them until they are actually caught to say, no, what can we do here? You do see this little chat coming through. It looks like Balenciaga is, I believe, going to be somewhat of a team captain because he comes through with these numbers every few 30 seconds or a minute. So I think he's letting them know whose turn it is. As O'Brien now pushes 6.5 watts per kilogram to get back on terms. And now I guess turn 4 is Garodi, I'm assuming there, as he comes through the Italian. So they're trying to hold off that 5-second gap. And we'll see. Perhaps as Holt is only pushing 3.6 here as a little bit of climb. And Evo might have saved a little something and start walking away again. And every right to them to make that
Nathan,
happen.
Yeah, no, listen, this is awesome because there is a big difference. So they have every right in the world, and the motivation that you feel, you can really look at the psychology of the racer and the team and mass here, is you can either say, oh, man, we're going to get caught and throw in the towel and take it as a negative, or you can say, guys, don't get caught. Now, once they make contact, it is your obligation then to let the team by, but not at all right now. You have every right in the world, even more so, to fight to try to hold them off. This is going to be now, Nathan, I think that would be a really cool story for the world of Zwift. If you look at what happens here, right? If Evo doesn't get caught, that speaks to their heart. It really does, because typically, when you see a team that's got another team in their sights, only halfway into the race, 99% of the time they make that catch when they get within 5 seconds, I think. 98% of the time, maybe.
Especially
It's
that
very
quickly.
rare.
Especially that
Yeah.
quickly here. So we'll have to wait and see.
Evo's
but,
actually blowing this out now. They're starting to open up. The gap is not shrinking. It's growing.
Yeah, it's out to 7 seconds. It was within 3 at 1 second. You can see there's the distance between the two. And as they go underneath the ruins in a moment here, it's going to be Red Arhammer now. DZR, 6.1 watts per kilogram on the front. Meathead was
I wish I had that attitude in my senior year of high school, Nathan. It would have paid off for me for sure. Never give up, right? Keep on fighting. It's going to be really interesting to watch what happens. And now the fastest team so far has been Kirkmeyer. We're starting to get splits in from the second check here. It's a little past the midpoint in the race. You can see World Elite Zwifters, who were fourth fastest the last time we looked at 8K. They're the fastest right now with a 20:02. Two teams tied at 20:20. DZR, there's a lot of symmetry right there. The Danish Dynamite and Cryogen Col de la Loze.
Yeah, and you do see a little bit of separation here. Excitement to try and make the catch, it looks like. Evo slowing down. Nathan is trying to make that catch at 6.1 watts per kilogram, 48 kilometers per hour, as you can see. 44 currently coming from Evo, so I think the catch is going to be made. The speed difference is maybe just a little bit too much. Well, 43 is it is an uphill grind right here. We'll see if the speed now gets away from them again. They might open it up. Really, the question is going to be the two-tier that's coming into the volcano in just a moment here to see if the catch is going to be made. I do think without some monster pulls for some of the Evo riders, this is going to happen. 2 seconds here. As soon as contact is made, it's said and done.
Yeah, they fought. They really did. They didn't just give in. But I think that, the reality here is that the catch is inevitable at this point as that team will start to motivate here. It's always interesting when you watch a 5-second advantage. What happens to that when you're going uphill versus downhill, right? 5 seconds when you're going downhill at 70 kilometers per hour is, that's a football field. But when you're going uphill, it's more like 10 meters kind of thing. It's really different. So here we go. Again, getting back into the meat and potatoes of our A category race. More splits coming through. We still have 3 teams that we're waiting for. The 3 fastest teams out on course today as well. Kirkmeyer, Cryo RDT Men, and Foudre. This is a really tough place, Nathan, on this uphill to make that pass.
It really is. I mean, having to make the pass here is difficult because everyone almost matches each other, and the speeds do drop, but you get a little bit more mixed up where there isn't just a smooth transition. They back out to 2 seconds. They closed it within 1. It looks like there's a little motivation on the uphill here. O'Brien coming on through. What Evo could do here is they could let 2 riders go or something at this point. Just let, there could be something where they let 1 rider go or 2 riders go, and if a few of the riders are really struggling, allow them to just drop off, and they just get passed immediately, and they just go to 0 watts per kilogram, and anybody else who's left who may be saying, look, I'm strong enough to hold off DZR at this point and go ahead. That could be a tactic, because I do believe a few of these riders do have 6 to 7 watts per kilogram to give at this point that could hold things off, and they may be holding up for 1 or 2 riders that may not benefit through the second half of this race, because there's only 7K to go at this point. They're way over the second half. They could still hold off DZR. Maybe that's what's going to happen. They are, as you can see, holding off 2 seconds. This is an amazing ride because DZR is struggling a little bit as they drop off riders trying to close this down. They may end up hurting themselves trying to get this pass to happen.
Yeah, just body blow after body blow being thrown between these 2 teams. And this is not the fastest on course right now as Kirkmeyer, the Angry Bees, are flat out flying. From all reports, Nathan, that World Championship, a few of these riders, again, were part of the WTRL, World Tactical Racing League World Championship team from just last week, and they clearly are hyper motivated when you look at what's happening with Kirkmeyer. And they are leading on our season series as well, as we get now some more times to look at. But we're back in with the World Elite Zwifters right now. They got the entire team together. Nathan, going back to what you were just talking about, these are the questions that keep directors on their toes. That's for sure. As you have to make some very tough decisions out there. And probably the toughest of all is what you were just talking about. Do we keep a rider and hope that they'll rally and be able to help us later and keep the speed up when we need it, the last few K? Or do we have to say goodbye because they're becoming an anchor right now?
This story has developed, and I want to jump around a little bit to some of the other teams, but I'm so hooked on whether or not DZR is going to make this pass. Because look at this, it's back out to 11 seconds now, 6 seconds here. I mean, this is quite the story developing here. Yes, Evo has been almost caught. They've lost a lot of time. It's not like they're very high up on the leaderboard. They obviously lost a lot of time in the first half of the race, but this rally is just so fun to watch, and this competition to not get past and watching the heart behind that is pretty cool here. Mozart now is GRC from DZR. Left-hand turn, 158, 5.3. Consistency here, but they keep on pulling off these monster turns by the Evo team at the front. And a little bit of a kick on the downhill. We're going to see if they can get into that super tuck 60-plus is really what you'd expect from an A-category team on this downhill here. And I have a feeling they're just looking for a little bit of reprieve as they're coming into the last 5K.
Well, I understand why you're staying with them, Nathan. That is some great racing going on. And I think it speaks to what we were talking about earlier is you don't have to be winning the series or winning the bike race to be having a great time out here. And these guys are so locked in on this race right now. What is happening? It is every problem on planet Earth is completely evaporated for these racers. They are in the zone. And that is something that is priceless. There's no medication in the world that can do this for you. This is all about being part of something special. This DZR team, Nathan, can you imagine how not frustrated, but in disbelief they are that they can't catch these guys? Because over the first 10K, they took back almost 20 seconds. Now it's been dangling anywhere between 10 and 3. I mean, they got close enough at one point that they could smell the embrocation coming off of Evo.
This is really great to see also the motivation it adds for DZR. They came through with a 10:09 at that first checkpoint, as you did see, and then a 2020 there, as you did see at the next checkpoint. So tied up actually with WZ0 Cryogen. Cole de la Loze. Is that how I would say that one? You want to help me out there perhaps a little bit?
Yeah, you're good.
And then it's going to be, so I mean, that was a tied up there at that second checkpoint. So, solid times coming through, and it's going to be motivation for them to continue to chase on and try and better that. Evo, it looks like perhaps need to start thinking about dropping riders off, though, because at this point, they're so incredibly close. These final few Ks, really, it's going to be 2 or 3 poles, 2 poles, maybe 3 poles from the strongest riders coming into the final 3 kilometers or so.
Well, and if you're going to lose a rider, this is where it's going to happen. If they can make it through this next 500 meters, then you keep them because they'll be able to participate, because we're down to about 3.5K of racing right now as we're in with the Foodra team. This has been a battle royale going on between these two squads. You can see just behind them, that's DZR. And that split, let's call it 8 seconds right now between these two teams. So, Nathan, this one goes back and forth. Right now, it's kind of locked in at about, it's been between 8 and 10 seconds here for a little while. Kind of unraveling a little bit. This is what happens here with these late efforts. The riders that still have something in the tank have to be very judicious with their efforts, because just because you feel good and you can give more, you don't want to snap too hard, right? That's in the BMX term, Nathan, for when you leave the gate, that snap. Well, it's no good here. You need to be steady. You need to have a practical application of that power that doesn't blow the team up, but brings the speed up, slow and steady. Well, slow's not a great word. Steady would be a better word, as we're, again, down to it now, the business end. This is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Men's East A's. So this is the highest level. There's the 2 categories that have really, there's been so much great racing around the globe, but this has been one of the stronger divisions that we've seen. A lot of depth out here. As the Danish guys, Nathan, they've only got, so again, they are 20-ish seconds faster than the team they're chasing right now because of the start split, but they are going to run out of real estate to make this catch. It might not happen here, and that really speaks to Evo having a ton of heart today.
Yeah, they've kept it at this 5 to 10 seconds. I think they're going to make it happen, actually, because at this point, it's just a sprint to the line. Great to see Evo pulling off an amazing ride, this really great. And we've seen some great leadership as well coming from Balenciaga. They're coming out of Spain. So now Garodi to the front from Evo. great little story here. Now, it's also a story to be told, though, if the DZR boys do make the catch, they may all sprint to the line together if they do close this down. But they've thrown everything out here in this TTT, and they've motivated each other as well. And that's what competition is all about as well. Meg, meet all in 30 seconds. And this now they're starting to get into the sections where it's everything you got to the line. You call them you just go to the front and trash can it, because I can just, all you need is those 4 across the line. So at this point, just everything all in, just hang on and let every rider come on through for their sprint as they waste the rest of the team. Though needs to be able to hang here. Jagerman to the front and no gaps. Balenciaga, they may get caught because of this here. 7 watts per kilogram of gap here coming from the Swedish rider.
You can never make an effort like this sitting at home alone. It requires being in the spirit of competition. These are the gladiators of Zwift that we're looking at right now. A little over a K to go. As Nathan said, trash can it, bucket it, however you want to call it. These guys are most likely going to be completely and utterly emptying the tank out here. And I mean literally. All right, Nathan, here we go. The finale. We're going to have teams across the line. The real battle out here happening behind these guys for the overall win. But this team's going to make it. They're not going to get caught. Great job holding off a team that had been within striking distance for a better part of half of the race today. That being the Danish Dynamite.
Coming in from VCRT as well. This is a ride at 28.19. Not bad at all. Going to be in the top 10, as you can see. Evo here, 51 seconds back. I think they've closed down some time, it looks like, to the VCRT boys. So they'll be coming in just a moment here. Now go. We're seeing from Balenciaga. I think there's been a lot of motivation here for this team with the highlights we're throwing down. We always love to do that for them, to give some motivation. Holt now to the front from the DZR boys as well as they come into their final K. WZ now here from Lockwood. It looks like Ernst, Amancio, Anderson, Alonin, Arts, all hanging on steady here at 48 kilometers per hour. This WZ team has been matching, it looks like, with WZ0. Are they bettering their top team today? Because I believe WZ0 is their top team. I didn't believe so. C. Lockwood, they're coming out of Great Britain.
Did we figure that out the other day? Okay.
Yeah, we're seeing a UK flag there. So Corey here, I believe, coming out of, if I'm not incorrect, the US of A on the West Coast. Is that right?
Absolutely. Bakersfield, California. Right. No, you got it.
Great place to ride. Absolutely love going there for some mountain climbing there. Corey Lockwood's got some nice riding roads, that's for sure.
Well, this Corey Lockwood would have no idea what you're talking about, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Bakersfield.
Maybe he's been there. I don't know.
All I can do is smell orange juice, orange in the air right now. There's so many orange trees in Bakersfield, California. I can feel it on my body as I ride through the orange tree fields toward the mountains. Just so everybody knows, great place to visit if you want to get some solid riding in. That's for sure. But
if you've ever eaten a raisin in your life, it came from that Central Valley of California, for sure.
Most likely.
All right. Well, World Elite Zwifters, they live up to the World and the Elite part of their name. There's no frauds on this squad, that's for sure. We've enjoyed watching them race. They've been one of the top teams in the WTRL as well. A lot of team time trialing experience, and it shows. They're going to bring a full squad to the line here. This arch, it was our whole shot earlier. Now it's our finish line. Is that one will be done and dusted there for the World Elite Zwifters. It looks like we've got World Elite Zwifters numero 0 as well out here today. These are the splits that we're looking at.
Looking at Vikings Ragnarok here, 10-20, right? 10-20-32 it looks like. Now moving down a little bit, though. Vikings Ragnarok now really getting pushed out of the top 10, it looks like, though, because of the latest update coming from Kirchmer, Food Cryo RDT, Fusion. The top dogs now making their way to the top of the leaderboard at the splits at 27 is going to be 27 minutes through is the new standard, it looks like.
Boudreaux's got it down to 8 seconds there. So they're whittling away at it. I don't know that they'll be able, it'll be pretty similar, I think, to what we just witnessed there with that fun chase going on, is that making up 8 seconds on a team that's full gas is really hard to do, but credit where it's due. You know, I actually was thinking about this one before the show. I don't think I've given Foudre enough love for the season that they've had. They've quietly been one of the best teams in the world out here. And Nathan, they've done it without any drama around them. Just kind of quietly going to work, taking out that 20-pound sledgehammer and wailing away. There's something very respectable about the way that team has raced.
Yeah,
Sitting in second overall.
Amazing ride by Foudre and challenging some of the top. I mean, Kirchner obviously with winning, being a part of that winning world championship team, one of the top dogs out there. Now I'm seeing, look at this, WLC showing up. Didn't know that they were out here today, and we got Cameron Jeffers jumping on in. So St. Parain WLC, this is a top ride. It looks like hammering at 49 kilometers per hour currently. Ellis is here, Milner's. Now, I am hearing that usually we'd have Ed Laverick in with this team, but he it looks like needed a little bit of rest. Not sure if he actually, if it was a COVID positive or not, but I do know that he did catch cold for sure and is needing a little bit of rest. And so I believe from my notifications, instead of riding today, he's shaving his Movember mustache live on his YouTube. So some quality show going on besides the bike out there today. But get well to him and hope to see him out here soon for the last couple of weeks with his WLC team, as we do see Jacko. Is that going to be Andy Jackson? Actually, top athlete out of the UK. Lots of records, endurance records coming from Andy. So I'm going to be actually jumping in with a ride for him later tonight, if that is Jacko. For some innovation intervals, sweet spot intervals. So good to see him doing a double header here. As Z now coming to the line, it looks like, with Strand. And not in the top spots, though, as we are waiting for the rest of the, this is going to be the team we're actually looking at for one of the top spots. Fusion here is 27:32, currently in fourth place at the last split. They had to make up 5 seconds over Cryo RDT men. And Foudre about a little under 20 seconds up from them. So battle here. For Fusion, they might have made up some time here as we get the result in just a moment for what it will be in the final times. We are seeing the little red boxes on the left. It means that they have finished for the day, and we'll be able to take a look at those times as they do come through, as a few more of them do update.
So if that holds true, that means that Danish Dynamite were not caught out there. Good for them. That was fun to watch. Good job, Nathan. Look at this, though. That's the formation. This is a team that's just motoring that small gap. This is where you let a rider go if you have to, because that's going to be half a second if you at all. And he'll come back here. Great job as we're down to it. The nitty-gritty of this 27.5K. This last bit here, this last kilometer plus, is where you really find out how badly you want it. These guys are going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. So Fusion, again, looking to make up at that last split. They're only 5-ish seconds out of third place on the day. And this is our fourth team time trial that we've had. One to go as far as this style of event. 2 more weeks of racing after we wrap up things today here for our community league. Back in with one of the Cryo RDT riders. This is Wales.
He's a solo rider. I thought perhaps it was Cryo RDT coming to the line there, but it was actually Cryo RDT rider that they had dropped off earlier, I believe. So now it's only 11-second gap here between Fusion and Foudre. So Foudre obviously having an amazing ride. They have extended their gap, it looks like, over Fusion as they're looking to catch that team. They're within 10 seconds at this point. So huge ride coming in from them. But then we also have the BZR team just a little ways up from Fusion. So we're seeing all kinds of interesting time gaps here that are giving us a good idea of where the teams stand amongst each other, as BZR almost being caught by the Fusion team as well. So that goes to show how strong the Fusion team is. But then right behind them, a tier above, the Fusion team is going to be the Foudre, who is battling it out with Kirchmar. Kirchmar, as you can see, that 104 behind this Fusion team, and they're going to be battling here to the line with Foudre for those top spots, because it was, as you were saying, only 8 seconds. Looks like Towle put in his last dig here. It's going to be Madsen to the front. Kalman, he's got that Danish National Championship jersey on. We're going to probably see a solid kick from him. This is no joke of a team here. You can see the Palmares in jerseys.
And, that was a really nice sacrifice there, as you see one rider, helping them get it up to 55. But these guys are flying. I mean, 55, 54 kilometers per hour as they come across the line. That's an all-out gallop as they are done and dusted. Was it enough, as we only have a couple of teams still out on course here? For a second, I was going to say 3's not going to do it, but there we go. The whole team, they're getting their time. Back in with KCA1 and Reichardt. This is the Angry Bees, isn't it? Is Kirkmeyer Angry Bees?
This is definitely going to be the Angry Bees as Kirchmer kicks up into 12 watts per kilogram. They're 192 beats per minute. Only 4 riders left, as you can see. We'll start getting the results coming in just a second, but they did have a solid gap. I do believe they've done this because they were within 45 seconds at the last checkpoint of the top team, of the other team they were battling out with, and that was going to be Fudre. We're going to be jumping in here with the B category in just a moment as we start to look at some of the results here. As we do have all the A's across the line.
Can you imagine if you're this runner wondering what is going on here? Making his way through this cluster of buckets.
with all of the riders here, with all the riders coming on through. Like, why are all of these riders?
What happened?
This is the
Why
damage.
They stopped.
Yeah, this is the damage that you see from the reality of the. I mean, this is a nice little scene because this is not a start point in the world of Zwift. No one starts here, but it looks like everyone.
What's going on? A pop-up Blur concert or something? Who knows? All right, so we're going to have a chance now to go back. Now, we do have a lot of other divisions out racing. Look at that shadow, too. How ominous is that? We get a good look at Watopia, another runner coming through, bewildered, I'd have to say. Just keep running. That's probably what he's telling himself.
Just keep running. Just keep running.
Probably thinks he's hallucinating right now. So we will. So again, we're collecting all of that data here on the back end, and we'll get a chance to look. I mentioned earlier, congratulations to the Kirkmeyer team as they come in as our series leader, and they've had a big week here. A few riders on that team picking up a world championship last Thursday, and we'll be back at it. Big thanks always to the WTRL and our friends there for the great job. This is the Zwift Racing League in full effect. And Nathan, it looks like you're jumping in with, is this going to be some of our C's here?
Yeah, a little bit of our C category riders that we could jump on in with here. It'll give us a good idea of where things are standing there. We'll be jumping in with the women's East and West categories in just a moment, but they'll be starting in about 14 minutes from now. But we definitely want to jump in with all the C's and the D's, get an idea of where the splits are standing. Some of the B's will be finishing up here pretty soon. It does look like 2 guys. Monte Junto there, 29:17 is the fast time set at the 22-kilometer mark. DBR Tornadoes 29:20, and it looks like Belgian Zwift riders Lions 1 having a great ride at 29:30. They were in the bottom half actually of the leaderboard the last time I checked. So that's a solid ride there from them. But we are in with the C's, so let's get an idea of where things are standing here with them. This is going to be Cryogen Iseren, and doesn't look like they're sitting within the top 10 currently. With just about 1K to go. I do believe that they may have been caught by a couple of the teams out there. Looking through some of the others here, the SZ, they're going to be one of the first starters. I believe it's going to be SZ Vale, if I'm not incorrect. Currently sitting at 32.09 in this C category, battling it out with Beastmaster Pro, 32.09 as well. So there's a ball game there, it looks like, with Team Italy 31.50 and Vikings Valhalla 31.42 at the last checkpoint.
All right, these teams out with 1K to go right now for SZ. But it looks like we have, is this 3 teams together or one team that's split in 2 right behind?
It looks like 3 teams all catching each other.
3 teams. Yeah, we saw this yesterday for the first time in the Premier League. I was joking, it looks like a small fish being eaten by a medium-sized fish about to be eaten by a large, although we don't know if one of these teams has already made the pass out here, but they're all going to hit the line at right about the same time.
Looks like Locke here, 4.1 watts per kilogram. That's going to be Team Italy actually making the pass here. We're just starting to get them into the riders nearby. They're going to make a pass right coming. Now, this is a tough section for a pass because the sprint is starting to open up. So with that, a lot of the riders are just going to be trying to push as many watts as they possibly can in the final K here. So interesting to see how this mix-up is going to be happening. Does look like Italy is making their way through.
At this point, I think you sort of just look the other way as far as it's just too much to try to manage as far as asking these teams not to commingle at this point. as they can
Slowing down at this
see the
point is almost
finish line.
impossible. I mean, you're essentially just throwing
Yeah,
everything you got at it. So it'll be interesting to
yeah, it
see
is.
if
That's really real tricky.
very tricky. No, quick little. It looks like one of the riders had a dropout that we were following along with, actually. So because of that, we ended up losing a few of the riders there. So we'll see if we can jump back in. But as they did cross the line, I think that's the reason why. As we were with the rider that we were following along with, I think we got SZ back here again. So there we go, back in with SZ, and they will be crossing the line. And solid time coming in from them. Lock there as well. And there is the mob at at the finish line as they
Yeah.
finish on up here. Let's
Well,
take a
so
quick
we
look at
do
the
have the
results.
women come. All right, good. So we do have the women coming up. Just a sheer volume of racers and teams that wanted to participate in the inaugural Zwift Racing League had us splitting into the East and West for the men. But for the women, we just go straight up the middle with the European women's division. But let's jump in now and take a look at the Europe, Middle East, and Africa E1 for the A's. This is Division 1, and Kirkmeyer, Angry Bees. It was close, 4.5 seconds faster. Foudray was right there. What an outstanding ride for the silver medal today for Foudray XO. But congratulations to your freshly minted Team Time Trials world champion, Kirkmeyer Angry Bees, or some of them, I should say, as they join La Bamba. And now in third place today, Cryo RDT Men. They were 20 seconds off of that fast time. Fusion in fourth, World Elite Zwifters in fifth, BZR Sports Solid Esports Team Red in sixth, DBR RT seventh, World Elite Zwifters numero zero in eighth, Cryogen Col de la Loz in ninth, and VCRT, the Doggos, in 10th. So that's a look at your A's. Let's see how the B's did.
Yeah, let's see. I believe we're going to have most of the bees across the line here for the top spots here. SC Forsyth, they're at 4.1 watts per kilogram coming from them, 37.39. Kirchner Honeybees there to 14 seconds back. There are 3R ACDC followed up by Valhalla Dane's Life, and then it's going to be Wolfpack ZRG in fifth place. Very close racing there between fifth and sixth place as Wolfpack and ZESP, that's going to be Zwift España Ardilas, they are only 1 second difference. But you do see that Zwift España, that they have some sort of awesome technique at 3.3 watts per kilogram versus that 3.7.
Yeah.
But on guard there, 218 followed up by WTRL Wanderers, and then Z there, 4. And the next one's into ninth place. I think we may still be filling in a few of these spots here. Jumping the gun just a tad, as we do have a little bit of time here between the finishing between the A's and the D's. We're going to see if we can find some of the D's out on course here, Dave. But as we look to fill a little bit of time, the women are about to jump out on course here, Dave, in about it looks like 8 minutes or so before they get going, and we'll have a good time gap before the next time check. So we'll jump in with the. We're going to see if we can find some of the D riders out on course, as they are still finishing up. I'm being told that they've got a pretty good competition going right now.
Oh, great. As we said, there's a lot of spirit in this community, and these D's is where you find a ton of it, no doubt. These teams come together, and that's been one of the beautiful things about people making the best. They call it the lemonade era during COVID, where just trying to figure out the things that make you happy. And for a lot of folks, this is it. The Zwift Racing League, a tremendous success in its first inaugural running here. They're still waiting to announce, figuring out exactly when we're going to start season 2, but it'll be right in the middle of January, it sounds like. I think you can be ready for season 2 to light things up in 2021. I know I'm already looking forward to that. We've wrapped up racing in our with the Premier League. Racing ended yesterday, and our 2 championship squads, certainly well-earned victories there. But it's not over here, and all the points really matter. 20 points for the winning team, 19 for second. And we could see, like BZR and Cryo, those teams are only 1 point apart heading into today. But there we go. It looks like we're in with the Gorillas. Good team to choose. BZR Gorillas 1 right now. This is the shots that is all alone. Where are his buddies?
Yeah, where are his buddies? That's what I was wondering. Is actually did he drop them all, or or perhaps we're waiting for a few of the avatars to load in? Z Espana now making their way to the line, as you can see here, with the D category as well. Sanchez is here Villar. And we'll start to get some of the times as they do load up here in just a moment there. Velez now, it looks like, and Felton here. That's going to be another one of the teams. Here are the tags, in-game tags. We're Schilling as well. We'll see if they start to load up and we'll get an idea of exactly who. This is going to be NVCC, it looks like. Is that going to be the Newberry Velo, perhaps? Take a look through some of the standings here and get an idea as we do bring up the data here in just a moment.
This is a new team, but that is the kit, isn't it? Their game kit showed up a few months ago. This has been a fun team to watch grow. They have a lot of range, that's for sure. They're just about done as well. Just a couple more kicks of the pedals here. They'll be across the line.
Yeah, looking through the times here, we are seeing, let's see where they kind of stand on there. It does look like there's a 39-39 the last time through the checkpoint. So they were sitting in 9th place at the last checkpoint. SZ Frey, 34-49 was the top spot there, it looks like, for them.
Only 3 seconds faster than the Vikings Osberg. That's going to be close. And yeah, actually, add in 2 guys. Here,
I think perhaps is hanging out on his own. I believe he was one of the early sacrifices there for Belgian Zwift Rider Gorillas because they were in at a 36-29 at one point. So I believe he's just helping us out, getting us to back out on course amongst the D categories. I think a lot of them are just finishing up.
We have 3 teams within 3 seconds of each other on top of the leaderboard here. They're really in quite a battle out there. The Swedish Zwifters, the Vikings, and 2 guys all locking horns here. I can only imagine how deep they are digging. Good job to all of our D riders.
Yeah, and apologies on some of the images here. We are trying to find our riders out on course a lot of times. That's what we have to work with. We need to click around a little bit to see what we can find. In with end guard here, a lot of the riders that we are able to find at this point are just either finishing up a cooldown and we're a part of the race, and are just still out on course. But sometimes the tools that we do have to use to find the riders not always helping us out to get to the best points out here. So we're going to jump back in with the women in just a moment here. Let's go ahead and go over what the current standings are. I think that's what'll be best here at this point. What are the current standings for the women in the EMEA? So does look like Aeonian. That's where things are going to be at here, Dave, as they're battling it out with Socks for Watts. That was I thought Socks for Watts were going to be the top team, but Aeonian have showed up with quite the racing team here for this league in its first edition.
Yeah, they should be really proud of the efforts that they've made. Aeonian were the new kids on the block only a few months ago. I think the team formed in midsummer, and they've established themselves as one of the positive forces in e-racing in a very short amount of time. And you can see with that 10-point advantage, they're in good shape right now with just 3 races remaining. Socks for Watts' team time trial specialist squad. There's a lot of knowledge and power on that team. But they've got to worry about Cryogen Stelvio sitting in 3rd, just 2 points back. And you've got Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. They're always a danger team. No doubt about it. 5th place is going to be RT, the Atomic Kitten. 6th is SWW, Veuve Clicquot. 7th place right now, Draft ZRL, Bristol Flyers. And 8th, Z Sunrise. And 9th. And then, so Socks for Watts, another, they franchise. And Socks for Watts, Pizza Party, is sitting in 10th right now. But actually, let's say tied for 9th. There with Z Sunrise on 69 points. So that's a good look at the women's European division, the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Aeonian up on top of the table.
Yeah, and we are seeing again Aeonian Banditas here, Dave. That's awesome to see. TBR Dance on then in 2nd there. Socks Watts, SPR Cake in 3rd. It is a close battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. With only a point differentiation of about 9 points. It's going to be, what is that? Going to be 8 points there. So SWW Bollinger there with 100 points in 5th place. And WTR Watts up there, 95. R3R Bewitched there, 93 in 7th place. HDRL with Belzom Bikes at 88. Herd of VSCC at 86. And then BVRT. 81 points in 10th currently. And then for the C category, KRT is at the top there, hotter than hell, Dave.
Yeah, tied with SC Sif at 126 points. Good luck to everybody racing today. Aeonian Chica is sitting in third. Cryogen Telegraph in fourth. SVV Moe in fifth. Clapham Chassels 1 in sixth. Herd of Cougar Chaos just 1 point. Front of Sox for Watts, the Whatnots, as they sit in eighth. TFC Storm ninth and SC Trut in 10th. That's a good look at the C's for the women in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And the Aeonian again, Nathan.
They just do not stop, that's for sure. 137 here, only a 3-point difference. Herd of Dolphins at 134. Then a big old gap down to third with a battle for third, fourth. Maybe doable for the Blazing Kittens. They're sitting in fourth as TBR Wiggle on, hold down third. RCC Women in fifth place there, followed up by Revo Rebels. Herd of Dolphins 2 in seventh place at 97, battling it with the Revo Rebels, only 1 point differentiation for that sixth place. IRL Serrano Hams, 85 points in eighth. And then SZ Zing in ninth place at 82. GC Spokes and Mirrors. Spokes and Mirrors. All about the additions to the bike? I'm not sure. But it's going to be smoke and mirrors. That's why. Smoke and mirrors, but we're doing smoke and spokes and mirrors. Thank you. There we go. But done. Ching. Nathan finally got it. So, that's the situation in the D division. So, Dave, we're going to be heading into the women's East and West battle. They're about to get out on course. There's about 1 minute to the start. Aeonian, that's going to be the question. Sox for Watts versus Aeonian, I think, is what is on the table here. Now, a lot of times Sox for Watts on Thursdays in the WTRL TTT, they've got a little bit of boost with a lot of times, Dave, they are holding down with some Hino addition, whereas Hino are in the Premier Division, though, on their trade team. So Sox Watts lose a little bit of that firepower then. And we're seeing what it is without that Hino burst in the Sox Watts team when it comes to the ZRL.
Yeah, Sox for Watts, an interesting team when you look at it. When you take the subsets of the Zwift community, I would have to say that they really came from the world of team time trialing. That's what originally brought the team together. And it's just blossomed into, I was joking saying that they franchise, but there are, like Aeonian, they have quite a few versions of the team. But team time trialing is sort of their roots, I would say, in esports. They take a lot of pride in that, and they're really good at it as well. But Aeonian has proven, to be honest, Aeonian is a team that has Premier League written all over them. If they were to be moved up into the Premier League, and we talk about teams being promoted and demoted at the end of the season, well, Aeonian's not going to end up as one of the bottom teams when they move up into the Premier League. I expect them to be competitive in the top half of the table as soon as they show up. So they're, I'm not saying anyone's underrating them. They come in with a 10-point lead here, but when they do join the Premier League, they'll be right at home.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. You know, jumping into the Premier League with Aeonian, it'll be interesting where they end up stacking up and seeing how the team is able to battle it out. I think that we will see them in that top 10, top 5s. That's going to be the struggle is breaking into the top 5 in the Premier Division, but they still need to battle it out to earn that spot. There's a lot of fast teams across all of the different time zones throughout the day. So they still need to go head to head to earn those spots across time zones. But when it comes to European, definitely Aeonian is the place to be, is the team to be looking at to beat in order to earn those spots. And then also there may be some extra motivation as we head into the battle for those spots from another, some of the other teams that might get into that knockout tournament style. So, because that's what's going to be happening coming here in the next couple of weeks. Once we get finished with the 10 racing, then it's going to be a battle to earn those spots that will be available in the Premier Division. So now as we head through, it is going to be Team TFC. They're the first ones out on course. Now let's take another look here real quickly at the course profile and where each of the checkpoints are going to be out here today. We've got a checkpoint coming in at the 8 kilometer, 16 kilometer, and 22 kilometer mark with a total of a little under 28K, and a 2.5 kilometer lead in as well, as we are looking at Darrell and the TFC Furiosa here, Dave. But Dave, As you were saying earlier, a little deceptive as far as the amount of climbing there, but it's relative. It's relative, that course graphic, as all are.
Exactly. That's what 95 meters scrunched into your screen looks like. And there are a couple points on the course where you see riders, if they're in trouble, it gets even a little bit hairier for them out there. But we've seen a decent number of teams finish with a full contingent. Really, the challenge here, Nathan, is keeping your speed incredibly high. It's not about getting over any climbs. And typically, this is really where you're looking for that well-balanced team. Without any doubt, a team that can find that flow. And if you can get every rider participating, then you're golden out here. So we're talking about trying to just keep a very high average speed, not letting that dip. Let your stronger riders take longer pills. That's actually the finish line that they'll be going through in about 25 kilometers from now. So there's as you can see, that lead in there of 2.5 kilometers. And we'll be looking at that first checkpoint. We learn a lot at 8K. That's for sure. You really establish the pecking order at that point. And then it's pretty rare that you see teams making huge moves up or down on by the next split at 16 kilometers at the switchbacks there.
Now, and TFC Furiosa is the first ones out on course. Again, as we were saying, they are seeded based on the fastest or the top-ranked team going last. And so TFC Furiosa, they're going to be looking to take back some points and work their way up the leaderboard. But they have already lost, it looks like, a solid 30 seconds to Ferocious. This is going to be Team Fearless. I'm liking the similarities in names a little bit there, but very different team. Well, not very different brand, different teams here, different brand, that's for sure. As you do see the Team Fearless kit in game there, we are as Furiosa there for TFC. Is going to be the yellow kit that's up ahead of them, but they have lost 20 to 30 seconds on this team already. And then Canyon Dev are out on course. I'm absolutely loving what Canyon is up to here. Women's development team here, most likely a lot of junior riders, I would think, in the U23s on this team, as we're looking at Salim Hunter as well as Higginbotham here. Very promising athlete, Higginbotham here from the Canyon Dev team coming out of the US of A.
Yeah, you got to feel good as a rider when you're a part of a program like Canyon. There's so much positivity that they have going for them. I think the same thing about Hino, same thing about 2020, Nathan, is some teams just have a really good mojo. And for young riders, getting around experienced riders who are able to dispense quality advice and motivation goes a long way. This is a tough sport. It's not for everybody. So when you can find a good home, you really want to keep it. This team now with 4 riders here, so they don't have much wiggle room for what will be. It's not a long day in the saddle. It's an intense day in the saddle out here, though, as we take a look at Canyon.
And we're out on Watopia's waistband here as this ride coming in from the women just getting going. The 42 kilometers per hour that they're hammering away at. Let's talk about the bike setups here a little bit, Dave. I think a lot of times viewers, they don't necessarily, new viewers or people newer to Zwift didn't know a lot of times that the bike choice has a huge difference when it comes to the speed and seconds that can be gained from it. It isn't so big that it's going to completely change the result by 30 seconds to a minute necessarily for a single rider, but all of these riders together on faster rigs gaining more speed and giving that extra draft and extra speed to the riders, it can add up, I think, across the avatars there, Dave.
Well, you make a really good point, Nathan. I have a friend here where I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. His name's Rob. You've seen Rob in our comments, I'm sure. And Rob just found out that he's going to get a smart trainer for Christmas. I think he's getting it for himself, I think. But either way, it's a Christmas gift he's claiming. And so that being said, he is stoked, right? And I noticed the same thing myself. When you first start riding on Zwift, there's a lot of things like figuring out how to use the companion app and how do I watch someone else Zwift, and then what is this garage? And you start, as you ride, you earn what they call drops. And those drops are the currency in in the world of Zwift. And the more drops you have, when you go to the garage, you can buy cooler stuff. And by cooler, I think I mean faster, right, Nathan? Some people, it's not about buying jerseys or shoes. That stuff comes along, but it's the equipment. And I think really specifically, it's the frames and the wheel sets that are so desirable for riders. And Nathan, I mean, you've been through all of that along the way. And you'll see new bikes get introduced and people are really excited. And it's a cool thing that happens along with. See, that's always been sort of my joke about Zwift is the best trick that Zwift ever played was making us all think that exercise is a blast, because it is, right? And you feel better, but along the way, you're just having a great time doing it, and that's been really the secret to the success, I would say, for so many people. But what's your favorite bike? What bike would you ride today, Nathan?
Yeah, my setup would most definitely be what Greta is riding here, except for obviously being with Canyon, they're going to be riding the Canyon bike there. But I would
Arrow Road, right?
Yeah, and I mean I have the double whammy there of both being supported with the big S there as well. So I'll be on the Venge, but also because it is the fastest bike in Zwift currently is going to be the Venge, the S-Works Venge, Specialized Venge, is the fastest flat course bike.
So how is that determined, Nathan? You don't have to go too deep into it, but how is, with all of the different bikes, let's say Trek and Canyon and Specialized, who is it, or is it based on in real life how aerodynamic that bike is and they just directly translate that over to Zwift, or do you know how they figure that out? Because it seems like, it'd be a huge advantage to be the fastest bike on Zwift, right? Wouldn't everybody want that bike?
Yeah, so I have that's a great question, Dave. I don't know the exact answer other than the devs wrote code to make it the fastest bike on Zwift yeah. When it comes to the aerodynamics of the bike. Now, I would say that the top-end bikes, like the Canyon here, the fastest Canyon bike for a flat, most aerodynamic, versus the fastest Canyon for climbing. Those two bikes versus the fastest Specialized versus the fastest Trek when it comes to those metrics as well. So let's say you have the fastest Trek, the fastest Specialized, the fastest Canyon, the fastest Giant, whichever brand that you have there, they're going to be pretty close when it comes to climbing bike versus a bike that's aero and flat and a little heavier. They're going to be pretty close. Now, one bike is going to be the fastest and most expensive that is out there, as well as the wheels go too. You got the 858s here. That's what Greta's currently riding on. That is the fastest wheel set you can get for a flat section, of course, out on Zwift, and it will gain you a couple of seconds out there for sure.
So here's thanks. That was really good, Nathan. Now, the next question would be, why isn't every rider using that rear disc on this team? And the answer, you tell me if I'm wrong, would be they don't have enough drops, the other riders. It's likely that Higginbotham is the most experienced Zwifter out here. You could do that easily, look at Zwift Power and see what level Zwifters they are. But wouldn't that be your guess, that if you could get the disc for today, you would, but if you don't have the drops to afford it, you can't?
Yeah, and Greta is a level 50 Zwifter. Currently, she has been racing out on Zwift. I'm seeing 4 pages of results going back to 2018,
so she's
December
had a
15th.
Little experience.
Yeah, she's definitely got a little bit of experience. She's currently racing, obviously, for the Canyon Esports dev team. She's been a cyclist since October 2018. That's a pretty quick pickup to Zwifting as well, as she's a type 1 diabetic, I'm seeing, it looks like. So 2 months in, jumps into Zwift, and is hammering away, and is now picked up by the Canyon Esports development team. Pretty awesome to see here from Greta Higginbotham.
She must have been Zwifting for a lot longer than 2 months. I'm guessing it's just racing, right? Because there's no way you can get to level 50 in 2 months.
So 2018, she started cycling, October 2018. Within 2 months,
Wow.
She was out on Zwift, is what I was saying. December 15th,
okay.
2018. Gotcha. That's how quick her Zwift life and cycling connected to each other.
Can you imagine, Nathan, if I told you, yeah, I got up to level 50 in 2 months on Zwift? I would say, really? Huh. Well, you must ride more than 24 hours a day to pull that off.
I would have to I want to know how long it would take.
Who's the fastest
We're
ever?
going to have to do some math on
Yeah.
that whole thing and figure out what it would take to hit level 50 at riding at like a pro schedule or something along those lines. You know, what is it actually that the amount of time that level 50 will take? Because it is no small
Well,
undertaking to hit level 50.
no.
That's for sure.
No, and I'll have to let my friend Rob know, because it is a little discouraging when you start. You're like, I went from level 1 to level 5 in 2 weeks. I have got this on lock. No, I'm no problem. But the levels get much harder as you progress. By the time you start getting over level 10, it's just much more of a commitment to move up. It becomes a quantum leap, let's say. By the time you get up into the over 30 level to level up, you're talking about, almost 1,000 kilometers of riding to do it. So it's you earn it out here, that's for sure. Jumping in with the Furiosas right now, 9K in. Again, we're out on Watopia's waistband with the women here. It's a long day of racing as we make our way around the world of Zwift. We start in the APAC, which really think Asia, Pacific Islands there, with our colleagues Anna Russell and Kate Bates, who are awesome. They do such a good job. I really enjoy them together. We'll have Kate back later in the day as she'll join us for the Americas West. But that speaks to, Nathan, we have a long time before we get there. As the women out on course right now. Then we'll jump back in with the Europe, Middle East, and Africa. West. We've already done the East. We'll do the West men after the women wrap things up out here. Again, on Watopia's waistband. 27.5 kilometers of team time trialing. Time taken off of the fourth rider's wheel out here. The teams start with 6. They all know the drill. It's starting to become pretty routine, isn't it? I guess routine means easy. This is never going to be easy. But we know the drill with team time trialing now. I think all of us have had a chance to really hammer out the fundamentals here. We're kind of moving into the master class of team time trialing here at the end of season 1 for the ZRL. The 8th of 10 races is what we're stuck into right now.
Looking at Team Furiosa coming on through with the 12:02. Ferocious there at a 12:07. Tied up with the RCC Women A, but Canyon Development with the best time at the 8-kilometer mark, 11:59. So putting some solid power down out there as they chase down Ferocious as well as Team Furiosa. Salim here on the front there at 42 kilometers per hour, 222 watts right now. Solid effort coming from them. RCC Women trying to chase them down, but it looks like a little bit of confusion amongst them. Only 3 riders, actually. What did they start with on the day here? Now, I have a question for Martin real quickly here. And we do have Martin from WTRL. He's always in the background taking care of so many things here. And I wanted a really quick question here, Martin, if you're with us still. These riders have 3. And if they started, Martin, on the day with 3, can they get scored with those 3 across the line?
Unfortunately not. They need the 4 to finish. So they did start with 4, but I'm not sure where their 4th rider has gone, whether it's a dropout, a technical. But no, fair play to the girls for keeping going and getting the job done.
Yeah, fair play to them. And perhaps it might be on our end. Perhaps sometimes it does happen where once in a while a rider may disappear from a client side. When I say client side means my computer. It means the computer that is in front of me and is currently running Zwift in front of me. Big thanks to Martin for jumping in with us and giving us some technical details. And sometimes when client side, once in a while, may not show what other clients on their computers or their apps are showing. So hopefully there's a rider still with them, hammering away, that is seeing these other riders and is going to come across the line. Or also a shout out for them for just getting the job done, getting across the line, and getting their time in, regardless of what the official results are at the end of the day. And they're able to say, this is what we did together against the rest.
Maybe they deployed a ghost power-up yesterday, and it just didn't release. There are no power-ups in the team time trial. Just kidding. But, well, here we are now with our home squad, WTRL, and this is going to be Stacey Murphy, I believe, that we're looking at.
Stacey Murphy, 4.7 watts per kilogram on the front. They're currently with a 12.05. Sox Watts, Polka Dot Bombs, throwing bombs over at 11.28 with Revo Arrows at 11.39. Vikings Valkyrie coming through 11.56. But the
Wow.
riders we're looking at currently here, 12:05 coming in from WTRL Firestorm as they are coming into the climb here out of Fuego Flats. And Revo making the catch, though, going right on by quickly here as we've got Bat and Styles, Ward,
Nice and
Revo,
clean.
Arrows. Very clean and solid time, 11:39. They're in for the run here, but Z Sunrise comes in with 11:31, just a few moments behind.
And now Revo has every right in the world to try to hang on. It's really just establishing, what would you say, a 10-meter gap behind the team, and then chase all you want. Absolutely. If you can use them as a carrot dangling out in front of you, please do. They're following all of the. It's been really, that's what I think the best. When we started the season, it wasn't quite as clean as that oftentimes, and I have been very impressed by the team's abilities.
A little bit of a thanks as well. That was really that's great to see. Great to see the great chat as well as very
classy,
polite, very
right?
very polite between them, and great.
That's how you do it, folks.
Camaraderie between the teams.
I'd love that to be a teaching moment there, because both of these teams are really motivated. They're racing their hearts out, but they have enough wherewithal to do the right thing as well. So good job, ladies. That's the kind of racing we love to see out here in the Zwift Racing League. As they're now 11K in out on Watopia's waistband, you can see that they just hit a little bit of that elevation. They're giving it back now and a little bit of downhill. Nathan, you know oh so well how when you can build up a little bit of speed, you really want to take advantage of that. You want to keep it high average speed, you have to be relentless about keeping that speed up at all times. And when you get a downhill, a strong team will be motivated to push even harder.
Yeah, and you are seeing here, this is just leaving that section Revo was on with the downhill. Here's Revo leaving the downhill section. And give you an idea of where these riders are at. This is the descent, that sharp descent after the Soaring Vulture. So you have the Soaring Vulture, a little bit of a climb, and then the downhill out of the Titans Grove area. That's where these riders are at, about to hit the right-hand turn into the that descent underground, literally underground, into the underwater tunnel in just a moment here. That is going to take a left into Ocean Boulevard in just a moment. That little bit, that sharp kick out of the underground is that 3% grade onto a flatter section into the marina. And then the switchbacks is that back and forth section that is a 1% to 2% gradient that's a little bit more steady than the sharp kicks that you're seeing around it there. So they're currently about to head into that downhill into the underwater there. Between the 8K and 16K is where this Revo team is at.
I don't know if it's a worldwide phenomenon or unique to America, but Nathan, you know how in the United States so often we'll name housing developments or neighborhoods after animals, right? Like Deer Valley, that kind of thing. Soaring Vulture sounds horrible, doesn't it? Who would ever want to live in Soaring Vulture? It sounds like you're one step away from death when you're there, which is pretty appropriate for what we've got out here. Is this is a course where riders are really digging deep. You can.
Well, it is a desert flat, Dave. Like nobody lives out there.
Right.
There's a road runner. There's an old train that I don't know who's running. I think there's a ghost running the train. I think it's like.
Can you imagine? Like, what's the name of your housing development? Yeah, it's called Soaring Vultures. Well, I won't be visiting. Thank you very much. You're right. It looks. Every time we race on this course, I reach for a glass of ice water. That's for sure. As we are getting about to the midpoint right now, 27.5 total kilometers out here. You can see we've got a tie now. Cryogen Stelvio and Socks for Watts at that checkpoint, dead even, right at 11:01. You go back to 17 seconds back for the SW. I don't know why I keep saying V. SWW Veuve Clicquot sitting in third, and it's up. Well, update that, Nathan. We've never seen this before. 3 teams tied at 11:01.
Wow.
Maybe we have, but I don't remember it.
Now, that's before the climbing sections, and I think that's just matching speed. These riders have done their homework. They've gone out. They've figured out how to hit a certain number when it comes to the speed, and we can see
using the same schedule.
Battling. Exactly. They're battling, but the reality of that climb, leaving the 8 kilometer, I think is where we see the separation. The reality of this section, of course, we had talked about this section, of course, many times. throughout the last 24 to 48 hours in the Premier Division, in the morning's APAC, and now also here we're seeing that this section, of course, where the dirt hits, is a section where the riders can push that little extra to get some separation because of how it slows down the avatars out there. You really have the opportunity to gain a lot through this section. Big shout out to RCC's women. I did get an update coming in from Martin, and it looks like we weren't unable to see for just a moment. It might have been Fry. I'm not sure which rider it was out here, but now there are 4 all together out here.
Good.
So there was just, for some reason, a rider was missing from our client side for just a moment, but they are all here together. And so RCC do have 4. So getting on with it here and getting a solid time still. So shout out to them.
Huh. Good. A shout out to you. You called that. So nice. Good for them, though. I was going to say, if it was just the 3 riders, I think that shows, I don't know, it gives you credibility when, even if it was 3, that you still keep riding just to get the ride in. But there we go. All of them
I think
together
Fry
here.
here maybe has been struggling off the back for a moment, too. Perhaps maybe that's why we might have missed the avatar here. But 176 gets back on terms, it looks like, as they cruise through at 32 kilometers per hour. Revo, it looks like, going to be making a catch zone a little bit here. 4.2 watts per kilometer, 37 kilometers per hour currently on the dirt section. As Hog Sanes, it's going to be Styles there, Gronland's there as well, and then it's going to be Downey pulling through at the back here. They still got all 6 with them. Murphy here from WTRL, they were caught, but they're keeping them within their sights, only doing 33, 34. I think they're going to start walking away a little bit. Here comes the polka dot bombs in the blue kits. That's going to be the Sox for Watts here. And Oaks.
6. Yeah, they're sitting in 6th right now. This is a team that trying to make up that 5 seconds on the Atomic Kittens. So they're still in the hunt. You can see they're actually, Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, they're dead even out there right now. This is very, very close. It's interesting to see the Z Sunrise, Sox for Watts Pizza Party, and the Bristol Flyers are all deadlocked exactly 30 seconds behind. We have 3 teams on 11:01 and 3 teams on 11:31 there. And then a bunch of teams like stuck in the middle of a sandwich in between that, in that 30-second window. So that's really compact, Nathan, when you look at the leaderboard at 8K. But as you said, expect some gaps to open up here the next time we see the teams making a check at 16 kilometers in. This is the team. We were talking about Sox for Watts earlier. This is the Polka Dot Bombs version, an up-and-coming squad. Challenging
Ruby Oaks
little sector.
trying to hang on here. Ruby Oaks, 14 years old. Is that right? Team JRC. Shut Ridley, coached by James Roberts Coaching. Isle of Man, CycleFest 2020, Medio Fondo First Lady. Ambition World Tour equipment. Her ambition is World Tour, it says in there. Her equipment is Wahoo Kicker Core.
I was going to say, that's similar to me. I have an ambition for World Tour equipment. So I'm realistic enough. I do know that she'll be happy to see Eleanor Backstead from Great Britain winning the first ever World Cup for junior women in cyclocross. So maybe she's the next Eleanor Backstead.
Yeah, and that
Good
is.
job,
I
Ruby.
believe that's going to be right because that's going to be the putting the birth date out there on the ZP. So I think
Good for her.
14 years old. Flying
I don't know
amongst
of
these
a
elite
younger
women.
rider.
That is
Yeah,
so cool to see.
I mean, every now and then, like Vigo Moore. Remember, Vigo was racing at 15 and winning with the men. But I'm going to say, Ruby, you take the prize. I haven't heard of a younger rider, and certainly holding your own out here as well. I mean, this is a very high level of racing that Ruby is doing. I wonder if her friends at school realize how talented she is.
Yeah, shout out to
Like
Ruby's friends at school right now as she's hammering away with a top 10 result in the A category in the ZRL first season, hanging on right now amongst some of these elite women. So really cool to see. And at that age, at this kind of wattage, this kind of effort, and this kind of commitment, I'd roll the dice on Ruby at some World Tour levels. So shout out to her.
We're
and,
fans,
coming
Ruby.
out of big Ruby, and we'll be following along. Keep
Yep.
it moving, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Queen's Gambit of cycling. Here, a young rider.
Of course, somehow
way-
we got Queen's Gambit mixed in here. somehow Dave was able to bring in the Queen's Gambit.
I've been waiting 3 weeks, to bring that in, Nathan. I think I found a little crack in the door. So, all right,
Jump-
we're in with
Who
late
are we in with? Who
here.
are we in here? This is going to be late from, it looks like an AHDR team. Late here? Is that going to be... I'm not
I was thinking
seeing
this
them
was
on the
Veuve
leaderboard.
Clicquot. It's not Veuve Clicquot?
Well, I'm seeing here for late right now. I do not see the updating of the avatars all around her there, and you are seeing on the side there. But
I
this is
see.
HDR Arctic Rollers is who I have them rolling through as, and this is going to be. We'll see if we can get a time up on board for them as we're waiting for Zwift
I like
to
their
update
kit.
for us. Oh yeah, HDR has one of the best kits in game for sure. Supported by Giant as well, and HDR Ladies kit, as you can see here. That's going to be the Aussie Hump Day Ride, supported by Live Giant. And I'm loving it.
That
Look at
was a
this
big-
Pinarello and the canyon with the purple there. Nice to see.
They got it dialed. That Australian Hump Day ride, Nathan, to put it in perspective, and again, you have way more depth of knowledge than I do on this, but wasn't that one of the first community-based kind of get-togethers that became popular? Obviously, I'm assuming that's Wednesdays.
Yeah, it was the largest ride out on Zwift for the longest time, and it may still be taking that as far as community group rides go. So HDR, Aussie Hump Day Ride, Tim Searle, the number one ranked rider when it comes to distance, experience, everything as far as how much riding you have done on the platform worldwide, has run that for from its inception. So amazing job done by HDR, both on the men's and the women's side. And they've done a great job in developing all of the teams and the brand in Zwift on both sides of the spectrum there. So really great to see. Now, I do have a quick little shout out here coming on in. I want to go back to the discussion there for Ruby Oaks.
Is this your top fan, your number one top fan of ZRL and Zwift Community Live, the one and only Nikki Cranmer?
Yeah, so Nikki Cranmer coming on in. There's a shout out there coming for Ruby Oaks to keep her eyes out because, and any other juniors that are out there, 2024 Pro Cycling will be fielding a junior team in the next Zwift WTRL League in Season 2. So excited. So big shout out there for the women. Be on the watch out for that announcement because there's some opportunity there.
Right now, Ruby's mom is holding up an iPad asking for her electronic signature for the 2024 contract that Nikki Cranmer has already
I don't know. I mean,
sent over to
she
Ruby's
is riding
house.
for another team at this point, and they're doing pretty well with Socks to Watch. So there's some competition going on all over the place. That's where the fun things about the Zwift Racing League that's opened up as well is the reality that we do have, in the off seasons and as even in season, as you have free agents out there, things have, really changed up. And I love how it's similar to the in real life sports on that side of things. When you get into the who's moving to what teams and the whole NFL draft kind of a thing, we've got a little bit of that already taking place here within the ZRL.
Well, and Nathan, you see this in pro sports teams where they're paying, athletes millions of dollars. Still, you have to have an environment that the athletes want to be a part of. And these teams, when they create their vibe, I'm talking about 2024, I'm talking about Socks for Watts or Hino, you want riders that fit the vibe of the team. And you've got to give Nikki credit for what she's done. I mean, I'm going to guess she's watching this broadcast right now. What she's really doing is learning about the other riders out there. And, you get out what you put in. And Nikki
she doesn't
really
just like watching the broadcast. You're saying, oh, come on.
Oh, I'm sure it's a
No,
highlight of her day. There's no doubt.
I'm just messing with you. I'm
going to guess if you want to talk about outside. I mean, I don't think that we have family members who watch as much ZRL as Nikki does. That's for sure. And she's a great part of this community. Let's put it that way. And there's definitely, as I said, these teams are all unique unto themselves. And same thing for you out there. If you think, hey, I want to get involved in riding, Nathan, I don't always want to point to Cryo, but I use them as a good example of very accessible. You can reach out to people in that, but there's we could name off the top of our head 20 different teams that you could say that about, right? But it's just a good example of you reach out, they'll get you in touch with people. You'll end up doing some reconnaissance rides or getting to know the people on the team. And then you can be out and doing this. It's available to anybody at any level, even me.
Looking through now, Dave, Cryogen, the team you were just talking about, Stelvio, coming through with the best time so far as they go by the waterfalls. 22:13 at the 16-kilometer mark. They just left that section. So to give everybody an idea of where things are at, where the riders are at out on course, they're heading past the Italian village. They just went through the S-turns, the little switchbacks, and the downhill into the ruins here in just a moment and on over toward the volcano. So to give everybody an idea here real quickly where this is at and how things are stacking up, that time was set through that 20, is that going to be 22? Where are we at? Excuse me, sorry guys, we're gotta bring this back up here real quickly here, but 16K mark, 21:56 now coming in from Aeonian. So solid, this is a battle, but it looks like socks for Watts and Aeonian. 3-second difference. That's the real story for the top spot, but now Cryogen here still trying to hang on, and I think they've got a good gap there over the BRT Atomic Kittens.
Yeah, we're getting down to it here, inside of 10K for a majority of the teams that are out on course. Again, thanks for joining us here. This is the Europe, Middle East, and Africa Women's Division, and we're into the 8th of 10 races, and most of the teams, Nathan, are going to be coming through the top of the town sector of this course right now, and you can see that, yeah, there's probably about 20 meters of climbing left, which really isn't much as they really start to push to the finish here. Now we're in with BRT. They got the whole squad together. Nathan, not many teams look as well put together at this point as BRT, that's for sure.
Yeah, Williams,
Little gaps
solid
here.
effort here coming in from her, 18.9, 20, almost 19 kilometers in. So they're a little bit past that switchbacks. They went through the downhill into the ruins, and now this is into the flat section right after the switchbacks, little peak there that you do see. This little flat section before the kick up that 2-tier that you see into the volcano, and then heading on into the town section, so the top of town section. So this is 19K in. That's a little over 3/4 of a way through the race here for BRT and the rest of the athletes out there. As let's go ahead and jump back in and see where things are standing as we get some updates. And still Aeonian at the top, 21:56.
Close.
Top 3, as you do see. And now TFC Furiosa now coming on through. I'm going to reorder this again, though, real quickly here to get an idea of where things were standing at that last checkpoint, just to keep things in order for a moment. As this BRT team is battling it out, though, with CCI Race Like a Girl at 22:34, as you can see. See if we can find CCI Race Like a Girl out there and what kind of section of course that they are on at this point to give us an idea of how they're going, as it is going to be Roberts, as you can see here, leading them out. They're only a little ways behind, actually. And 3-second difference, though. And then only 1 second between them and Viva Cliquot there. And then Polka Dot Bombs a little ways back at 22:58.
That is a fun one to say for us, no doubt. Is
Real fun. Real fun.
Yeah. That Aeonian team that's been so strong. Again, today, let's give a shout out to the women that are leading the race right now. Nathan, it's no surprise at all to hear that Danielle Estrate is racing, but she's now not the only, I was going to say the only Romanian on the team, but that's actually a Belgian flag we're looking at. Wendy Matti joining. Marina Arce is the Argentinian. The American on the team is Kristen Yacht. She's done a great job. And then we've gotten to know Jamie Lee Wright. She's done a tremendous job. Jamie Lee Wright, when you look at trajectory, Nathan, when she's coming back from a car accident, I've mentioned that, or was hit by a car while riding her bike a little over a year ago. I don't know that I've seen a rider, and right as I say that, it looks like she's going to fight to stay in the group. But this woman, she's always been strong, and one of the riders that's been getting better every week of racing out here as we're in there. That's the Guernsey flag that we're looking at there. Jamie Lee Wright's nation of origin. Such a strong rider. See how she's right back in the mix. One of the best climbers on the team is going to be Marina Arce, the Argentinian, and then There's the Romanian flag, beautiful flag of Daniel Estrate. So this is a team, Nathan, that really has a nice distribution of power as well. Talked about Heino and their success, not missing a step all year long. They won 8 of 8 in the Premier League. And a big part of the reason that they were so good at the team time trial was there really wasn't much difference between all of the riders on the team. They were all not good, but great. But it wasn't like they had one really strong, stout sprinter and another featherweight climbing specialist. Those riders all brought the noise right down the middle there. The multi-talented, multi-dimensional team, and every rider had those attributes. And I'd say the same thing for Aeonian here, as they're down to 7K of racing. Will this be another win for the record books? We'll see, because they're being challenged out here. Socks for Watts, Watt TF is bringing their A game today. That's a relentless team. Only 3 seconds at that last check. And I wouldn't expect it to be that much different the next time we take a snapshot of this race at 22K in. And then it's the dash for the cash, the race to the finish line there at the Arch.
Yeah, and Socks for Watts here, they're going to have to really start to ramp things up. I'm not sure they're going to be able to bring this back, because it looks like they've lost a good amount of time in the second half of the race. They're only 20-some seconds up right now. That's a lot of time to try and make up, as we do look in with Rachel Elliott now leading things out at 5.4 watts per kilogram. She is going to be the veteran of Zwift racing on this team. Leah Thorvaldsen is in there as well. That's some quality power. Claire Good, Cassie Baldy. We're seeing McCann in here, and then I believe there was one more rider. We'll see if we can jump in with in just a moment. Rachel Elliott, though, on the front, hammering. It looks like 5.3.
Taking a big pull. Yeah, because this is this sector right here is where you want your workhorse up on the front. Look at a great job Rachel is doing here. So watch how long she stays on the front. Now they need to get up there, get on her wheel. I think that's Cassie Baldy trying to fight. Yep, there we go, closing that gap down, just tighten things up a little bit. But she's still pulling now, and this has been more than 30 seconds at this point, Nathan. Again, Leah Thorvaldsen here. Such a big fan of what Leah's all about. Claire Good. Yeah, this is a strong Socks for Watts team. So, Nathan, I only have them at 3 seconds back at that last check. So, I'm thinking they're still in the hunt here. I really do. This team, I'm not counting them out yet. That's for sure. Not even
Grobler
close.
now making her way to the front here. 4.8 watts per kilogram. 48 kilometers per hour. I'm just getting the feeling that there's some leadership on Socks for Watts that are currently really making things happen, and a struggle from the rest of the riders here. So I think early on, a couple of the riders, or maybe some disorganization, is it doesn't look like they know who's supposed to be pulling at the right time. This is not the usual you would see from Socks for Watts, but it is a mixed team here for the ZRL this week that we don't see usually in the WTRL TTT. And some of these riders, I think, not riding with each other on as much of a consistent basis underneath the Socks for Watts brand. And so I think there's, I don't know, just the fielding here and looking at the way that the pulls are happening. I just get the feeling that it's not the usual that we've seen from them. Thorvaldsen now coming through at 5.3 watts per kilogram, getting some motivation, knowing she's supposed to be on the front there. I can almost see, okay, yeah, it's my turn. Now I got to pull 4 to 5 watts per kilogram. That's what I was more expecting up in that 44 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. We should have that last check coming in. Sometimes it's kind of like looking at a cup of water. You can't tell how hot it is. And, yeah, well, we'll see. The splits are coming in now, and it looks like you were correct, Nathan. They gave up they gave up close to more than 10 seconds there over that last time check. So you nailed it. It looks like Aeonian is starting to ride away with this one.
Yeah, and it looks like they're closing things down. Now, they could give up another 15 seconds if the Socks for Watts were able to really pull something off here at the end, but I have a feeling that Jamie Lee Wright, Grobler, and the rest of Aeonian are only getting faster, while Socks for Watts, I think, are struggling and slowing down a little bit as we see more pulls coming through from the likes of Baldy, Rachel Elliott. I think Claire Good, McCann are sitting in a little bit more than the rest of the team, perhaps. We see Baldy making her way to the front. Now Thorvaldsen now back on the front, it looks like, up into 2.6. They're trying to roll through it. They're losing tactics, it looks like, here for speed, though. Maybe make up a little bit of time. as now McCann hits the front door at 3.4, and that's going to slow things right on down, it looks like, rather than speed them up, as it looks like Baldy's supposed to be on the front pulling something more. So the organization around the speed here at this point just does not look like the usual tactic I've seen from Sox for Watts. Not to hammer on that too much, but it is a good learning moment, though, for all of those watching about a TTT and trying to figure out how that tactic works exactly, and making sure that the organization is perfect there on the front.
And that blob technique is more for over 6 riders, not for the 5-6 rider threshold. I mean, really, you want to be more single file using the old school technique, I would say, especially on a course that is so flat as what we have out here today. It's not a course where the blob is going to be effective. But again, you make the point. Sox for Watts is an interesting entity because there are so many riders that you can associate with this team that also ride for another team. A good example is the Hino Sox for Watts cross-pollination that we see. But it does look like they're going to make the catch here.
It's not like they're going slow. Not saying that. Just as far as the competition there with the Aeonian team and being able to match the kind of power that they are. As they are catching CCI Race like a girl. Now, a big shout out. They do have the matching socks. I'm hearing from WTRL. Martin is letting us know, they definitely know how to make the socks for Watts in style, as they have this setup out here with all the orange matching socks. I want to know, do a lot of the teams do the matching socks? I'm gonna look through here for Aeonian. Not even,
a lot of teams don't here. Because it's an easy way to differentiate who is who. Is by using, so teams like, I know 2024 does that, where they'll have the riders all using a different color sock to make it easier to identify who's who. Riders have their signature sock. This is they're a sock company. When you talk, not Aeonian, but Sox for Watts. Aeonian, I looked that up, means, think eon, or time, withstanding time. And I certainly hope that program is going to be around for a long time because they've been super impressive. And it looks like they're having their day today, Nathan.
Yeah, they are walking away with this one. It's going to be a battle to the end, but I think as far as the league goes, the league standings currently, Aeonian do have a pretty solid lead up until this point across almost every one of the categories, actually. But Aeonian Race Team came in with 139. That's a solid 10-point gap. I think that's almost unassailable as long as they show up for the next couple of races. Barring any kind of major mishaps, they've been kind of walking away a little bit with this one. Sox Watts were at 129, but the battle between Sox Watts and Crouch and Stelvio, who are 30-29 and 30-28 there at the last checkpoint. Wow. So Stelvio might be able to pull this off here. Cryogen, they were at 1. So let's take a look at this here real quickly, everybody, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. 2 points. That's it. So for that second place, it is up for grabs still. The battle really isn't between Aeonian here, but actually between Sox Watts and Cryogen.
Absolutely. I'm hearing from Alice Lethbridge, thank you, Alice, that each different Sox for Watts team has their own signature sock color. So I figured that they'd have a plan. They're not just going in willy-nilly with their socks. It's not catch as catch
These
can.
Socks are
They have a sock
here.
plan.
I mean, if that's where you're getting your Watts, you got. I mean, if it's socks for
you don't
Watts,
mess around.
You do not mess around with that one bit. So, orange socks out there today. Maybe we got to change it up to purple. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving away my favorite color. All right, so
fastest sock. What's the fastest sock color, Nathan?
Fastest purple. It's always purple.
Yeah.
No matter
Look at
what.
this. 4 teams lined up like planes coming into the airport here as the landing pattern has been established. This is Aeonian. So Aeonian can see the team that started 3 in front of them. That's a really unique moment in ZRL history right now. I've never seen 4 teams on the screen at the same time, Nathan.
Let's see if we can get the helicopter shots here to help us out.
Keep going higher.
The Tron bikes are going to help us out just a little bit here to see what's going on. But yeah, a couple of dropping off there from Sox for Watts, it looks like, as it looks like the ramp up is taking place. I did see a couple of riders there in the blue kits there off the back, unless that was a catch of another team. But it looks like the ramp up is
No.
happening, and I believe Cassie and the rest are going to just start walking away a little bit to try and get a better time.
What a great feeling, though, Nathan, because these teams start, again, in reverse order based on their previous performance. So when you can see the second, the third, and the fourth place teams all right in front of you, you know that you just had one heck of a ride out there. Aeonian, I tip my cap to you, ladies. This makes it really easy when you're doing the commentary, as far as there's no question who wins out here today, is it's going to be Aeonian. It also looks like Socks for Watch should be pretty happy.
Question there is going to be, how did Cryogen end up on the day? Because they were so far, they started, a little ways ahead, and we're gonna have to wait for an update on the finishing times to give us an idea on that. But
Exactly,
definitely on the watch. Need to be watching out to see how that ended up playing out. Now, the men have gotten out on course for the East. For the West Division. We can jump on in with the men here in just a moment. And we got them out on course. It is going to be WKG, watts per kilogram, that we're going to be in with actually first. To give you an idea of where they are at, they are just leaving Ocean Boulevard. Well, the little ramp with the underground next to the Jarvis tree. So I'm going to bring that graphic up for everybody again to give you an idea of where this stands. We definitely want to let you know, one thing that we do recognize is like, well, we just dropped into somewhere in Watopia. Where are we? Well, here's the map to give you kind of an idea. But again, they are on Ocean Boulevard. They are just past the spike there, that little spike from the underground that you'd see. So Soaring Vulture, they're past Soaring Vulture and that kick up out of Fuego Flats. There's that dip afterwards, and then that lowest point on course, that's going to be when they're in Ocean Boulevard and going past the old Jarvis tree that we like to call a lot of times, that tree trunk that you go through, and then that leaving that 3% gradient. They're just after that, before the switchbacks there, just before the switchbacks in the marina area. That's where this team is at for watts per kilogram. We'll get a look here in just a moment at what the current splits are as well for the men's EMEA West. And this is a very hotly contested category here. We've got teams like Restart are in here. We've got, there's some big names in this category.
This course is called Watopia's Waistband because it wraps around three of the classic parts of Watopia. As we kind of get it, it's actually a great tour of the island for sure. So again, if you're just joining us here, we're jumping in now with our Europe, Middle East, and Africa men's West. We'll have the results for you there with the women. That's all being calculated here. Take a look at how things stand after the 8th of 10 races. But now the men here, and 27.5 kilometers of racing out on this. I would say, Nathan, this is a great team time trial course. We should remember this one for future use for sure. This is a course that you really only see in event mode only. So I'm glad that we got a chance to race out here in the Zwift Racing League. And for our community racing, we're into the finale of the season here, the final 3 races. The Premier League just wrapped up yesterday. It was a lot of fun for sure. That was a great first season. And I know riders are already champing at the bit, getting ready for Season 2 to start. We're anticipating a mid-January launch of the second season. But thanks, Nathan. Here's a good look at the standings coming into today. And you can see Restart with 133 points up on top of the table.
Yeah, 133 there for Restart, and it looks like Plastic Cockneys. That is quite the battle there with Innovation Penetrator. It looks like hammered away at 124. This battle is one of the best to see here between these, because I think it's one of the most hotly contested, because Innovation last week, we saw them really trying to battle it out against those top 2 teams here. So I think this West, I'm always really excited for this every week, because I think these 3, it's still so up in the air, and there's so much to be going for here, and each one of them really, really want a spot in the league there. A lot of names come to mind there, especially with the Restart team. they have been chomping at the bit. They were the dropouts for the longest time, and now being with the rebranding there with the name Restart. Probably also because of the rebranding a little bit there. They threw that name out there, but there's a lot of riders on there. They've been so committed to the world of Zwift racing for so long, as well as that innovation there. And then Plastic Cockneys, they've kind of come up through the WTRL TTT out of the spring and into the summer. And, maybe some riders there that have been around the world of Zwift racing for quite a long time, but maybe not as an organized, cohesive team until recently. And have been just walking away with a lot of these races and very much a force in the TTT as well. So this is the current standings you can see. Now I am seeing that GCN have, it looks like, a team out here. I'm going to get confirmation, but I think that they've jumped in for the TTT as well this week.
I was just going to mention, Nathan, in my notes here, that this was the division that GCN raced with last week. I know that we both had a chance to discuss how much we enjoyed watching the video that they put together. That was absolutely awesome. And I was thinking for all of the guys, Nathan, that race in this division, it had to feel really good to watch that and see how hard, like Cy Richardson was racing, the whole crew, Connor. I mean, the race was hard enough that Connor ended up getting dropped pretty early. So that's a confidence booster, right? When you know how legit GCN are. And I do want to say thank you to all of those guys for the great attitudes. They're doing such an impressive job, aren't they, at GCN, of just bringing cycling to the people with a great sense of humor. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they take the sport seriously enough that you really learn a lot. It's great. I hope they're racing. I really do.
Yeah, we'll see if we can bring in...
Nathan will confirm that for us.
Yeah, I'm just making sure as we bring in the splits for EMEA West.
They had so much fun. They're back for another week, maybe.
They said that they might be bringing in... We are waiting for data to update. This is the time of day that Zwift Power gets absolutely demolished. So I'm getting in all caps and bold, no live data for this division yet, just as a heads up there. So we're gonna be waiting on that data to be coming on through here, but we can get the images to you of where things are at as far as the gaps go between those who went out first. WKG able to hold on to almost a minute between them, and it looks like SDW is that going to be Vespid? As we look at who we're watching here, and that is Vespide. And then it's going to be Fusion Dev looking to chase them down with the 30-second gap, so they brought back some time. It looks like to the SDW team. That's going to be the third ones out on course. Then KST here chasing them down. They brought it back a little bit of time as well with only a 33-second gap. Now, is this going to be a restart? What is going on? Have they caught this many riders already, or where did they start? Is this another restart team? Is there a second restart team? Is that what? Yeah, Restart Up Nation. That, I believe, is why I'm seeing Stephen Pink, Meijer, Schwartz, Wheeler, because I'm not seeing Brett Boniface here and some of the other big hitters. So this is going to be the second team there for them. And I'm seeing, coming past Carl, please ease the pass. I'm hearing from Kim Little there, actually, from Team Experimental. And that's another one of the top teams in and amongst this division that I'd be watching out for. That's got a new start to their life of Zwift racing. That's going to be in 9th place, currently at 86 points. Trying to take down Z Understatement and the DZR Danes there that are only separated by about 4.
So obviously there's the Israel Startup Nation team. I think that's a play there. That's pretty funny, actually. Restartup Nation is the other of the restart teams. I think the creativity with the names is one of the more enjoyable parts of this. Some good humor being shown. This is going to be Rowan King, the Jedis that we're with now. And again, we're not going to have a lot of data for you, but we love these teams and love this racing, so we're more than happy to soldier on here and just give you images coming from out on course. 27.5 total kilometers of racing today.
I'm seeing a lot of streams happening as well over in the world of Twitch. Just as a heads up, everybody, this TTT, the ZRL, there are like I'm seeing almost 30 streams currently over
Wow.
on the live streams of individuals' first-person points of view from their team time trial right now in the ZRL. I'm seeing actually Barney and Z. That is going to be one of our favorite riders here coming in from this division. Actually, he's on the innovation team, so be on the watch out for him. He's over on Twitch right now, hammering away from a first-person perspective. So definitely go show some love. There's a lot of live streams happening currently from first-person perspectives of these races. And the entire world of streaming when it comes to gaming. I think the cycling world, it might not be so up to date on the esports world and how big that whole reality is of gaming and esports when it comes to viewership and the kind of hype that can come into like a stadium type environment in chat, and how these streamers, individual streamers as well as esports platforms, grow through it.
Yeah, no, Nathan, being around you, I've learned a lot, and I know I have a lot more to learn. But it's a whole new universe of excitement and creativity. Speaking of creativity, the poster contest, Nathan, have you heard from Martin that this is blowing up right now? I'm speaking about WTRL's Thursday. The teams, a lot of the teams, we have a contest each week for the posters, and it has turned into Donnybrook. I mean, there's posters coming in from all over the world. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Quite the competition, that's for sure. And I
Quite the
absolutely
competition.
love to see it.
It's
Yeah,
right.
I'm loving it, and it's really great to see what everybody is doing and the effort that's being put in for the WTRL TTT posters, and that's part of the community and the culture that comes with it. Everybody's little artistic take on what they're up to, the competitions, and how they get fleshed out a little bit too in the art is always fun to see.
There was a
really,
certain
really cool.
irony in last week. The team that I've called my boys, I didn't vote for, and they won last week. So that was a bizarre twist of fate for our friends at. I'm just looking here. That's a challenging sector of the course, but the Fleetwood Mac team. Going back in here so here you go. Here's a good example. Is James Barnes on Twitch right now, Nathan?
Currently on Twitch right now, actually hammering away with this real world perspective. We'll see if we can maybe bring a little bit of something in for that. We'll see if we can get some live shots of that in just a moment here. But to give you an idea of the kind of suffering that is happening with this rider. I mean, this doesn't give us the idea currently, right? At this we see 3.5 watts per kilogram. We see that he's hammering away, and we can speak to that, but you really don't get the idea of what's happening until you get at least the perspective that a live stream from the racer's point of view can actually give you. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at that here. And this is going to be his live stream that's currently hammering away right now. From his person perspective there, that's that 5.9 watts per kilogram right now, 400 watts at 173 right now. Big shout out to him. You can see the left-hand side there. He's got a little bit of chat coming on through. At the bottom there, he's got a sub gill. It's pretty. Yeah, he's got a shark there in the background. Absolutely loving it there. So big shout out to Barnesy. He's killing it, putting on a show for us here as they're looking to try and win this. And this is no joke here. This is a top 3 team that's trying to get into the Premier Division, and they want it. They want it bad between the three. Between the it's going to be 6 riders, I think, with Vinton on the front there.
Good for James Barnes. I mean, he looks relatively comfortable considering the massive watts that he is putting out there. James Barnes also, Nathan, deserves a ton of credit as a huge part of this community going way, way back. The origin story of Zwift has some really cool characters, and James Barnes, you'd have to agree, is one of the guys that, as they say, we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
Huge fan. And now we do see D. Viroli now trying to take a little bit of a pull. 156 beats per minute. Now Barnesy now coming on through now 4.0 watt. They got to slow down. It looks like a little bit. Barnesy comes to at 46 and then gets back just enough to allow it. Looks like Vardy. Yep. Vinton, though, to the back after a big pull. Sean maybe falling off. Can he get back on? They have to let him go, I think, at this point if he can't close this down. It's too much speed to lose. That's precious seconds, absolutely precious seconds. I want to try and see if we can bring in the current time gaps. We still have no live data at this point. Apologies, everybody. We're waiting on Zwift Power updates at this point.
Yeah, I think that this is pretty much what it's going to be now for the rest of this race. And this is a really good example now. It's such a fine line.
Look at the gap.
Team can't...
Here, this will give us an idea, though. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that does give us an idea, though, Dave, right now, between the Plastic Cockneys and Vinton. As you do see, Vinton is dropped. They are going to let him go. It's a good call, in my opinion. But you are seeing Wiley here now, 56. It's 1 minute. Plastic Cockneys, Innovation, right up against each other at this point. There's hardly any gap. But Jaden Yager, 17 seconds back. Restart with Cunningham, Dan J, Brett Bond. This is the team here, Dave. They have almost shut down Plastic Cockneys already. And Barnesy and the rest of Innovation are not that far ahead.
And you see how they're not using the blob formation. They're just sorting it out to stay in single file. This is a team that executes at a very high level. You're not going to find much better than what we're looking at right now. And again, the distribution of power amongst this team is really, really good. All of these guys are strong. So, yeah, tough team to beat, no doubt about it. Out of Wisconsin here on the Restart Plus team is Jager.
Yeah, Yager, and I think he was also named. I'm correct that he's named to the World Championship team, if I'm not incorrect here. So be on the watch out for him for the US of A. Himself, as well as plenty of other American boys, going to be trying taking things down next week on the 9th. So Dan Yager here, 160.
Wait, that's already just a week. We're just a little over a week away from the World Championships for esports, the UCI World Championships that'll be held right here on Zwift. That is so cool. I know this is a big one. I really feel a different energy around this event. Nathan, on the World of Zwift, we had a chance to talk about a very unique opportunity now where some of the countries have been, I think, really smart to select riders like Lionel Viasen, riders who have, in the United States, for taking someone like Kolchinski, right? A rider that never has raced out, pinning a number on out in real life, but has shown tremendous talent on this platform. It's going to be really interesting to see. It's not just who wins the World Championship, but what do the riders in the top 10, what are their backgrounds? How did they get there? Because we're at the threshold of a whole new era of competition within the world of cycling. Matt Stevens made a really good point, too, about this isn't trying to just replicate road racing or criterium racing or time trialing. It's its own unique discipline within the world of cycling. I think that's a really good way to put it.
It is a really good way to put it here. Now, I just want to highlight something now real quickly. Caleb Carl is having an amazing ride with WTRL. Look at the last time check here coming in from them. The last time check here from this team, we can get this to show here real quickly as we're looking at Caleb Carl's WTRL Skylab 1957 Team X, their 20 Innovation, their 20 Restart. And look, this is unheard of. And this is a big change up here when it comes to the top teams right now in this TTT. But can they hold on? I want to really quickly here also highlight that this is it is very close. It definitely is. Caleb Carl, he is also, I believe it's going to be, if I'm not, I may be incorrect on the first name, but Carl, he is actually also live streaming over on Twitch as well. And this is going to be the real life situation here. He's got chat going on here, 164 beats per minute. Seeing there is only, is that going to be, Clements is a little ways up, 1 second up, as you can see there. They're trying to close things down. This may be too much at this point that Clements is putting out, because they are going to struggle now, I think, to hold on to that lead they had at that last checkpoint. We'll have to wait and see if WTRL can hold off, though.
Wow, this is really shaping up to be quite a race here, folks. Go ahead and buckle up as we're into the final 5K now. So, Nathan, explain to me. So they have one rider who's
Clements went off ahead. He went off ahead and got too much of a gap.
He's with the wrong team
there.
Yeah. So we'll get him back with the right team here in a moment. But yeah, there you go. You can see exactly what's happening. So the Cockneys are overtaking here. Now they're joining their teammate. He's probably like, hey, where you guys been? That's the Zwift jersey. And
WTRL, not the Plastic Cockneys.
Excuse me.
The Cockneys are way actually off, not where they usually would be. Let's take a look at that here one more time there.
Okay, now they've got the four back together, too.
WTRL
so
Skylab, you can
WTRL.
see at the 16K, 3 seconds up from Team X. Team X are having an amazing day. This is a performance I was not expecting
Big
from
surprise.
any of these riders. Big surprise. Yes, Dave.
Yeah, this is crazy. So this is really great to see this data coming in right now because you can see WTRL Skylab are riding out of their skin today. In the WTRL family, this will go down as one of the biggest rides in history as they are absolutely killing it out here today. Talk about going above and beyond. So, all right, let's take a look at what we've got coming in from 22K. So it's going to be, let me just take a
Team
quick
Experimental,
look at this.
27:37.
Which is significantly faster than Z's Understatement coming in at 28 flat, a 28.05 for Bike Strong KTM, Nathan. Wow, what a race we've got.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find
We're still
Kim
waiting
Little
for
out on
restart.
course, because
So we should have restart coming through. Yep. And again, it's going to be a little glitchy, I think, with Zwift power here. We'll do the best we can. Apologize. It's an exciting race today. Kim Little, a colleague of ours, big fan of Kim. Great human. Boy, they got this put together well.
His avatar, he does a great
Experimental,
job
just
of
killing
making
it.
his avatar look like real life. Like if
Have
you've
you
ever
ever,
seen
though,
Kim,
in real life, have you ever seen anyone use a visor on a bike ride?
I think I've seen Kim use a visor. I'm gonna have to double check. I've ridden with Kim in real life multiple times. I've seen him
He
wear
loves
hats
visors?
that look. Well, his hat. He does wear hats a lot. I don't know about visor hats, but he does wear hats a lot. So, Kim, I've seen him wear hats on his live streams as well. So.
You know what? I want to market. We need to make some merch for Team Experimental. How about that? The Kim Little custom signature visor. I'd buy one. I'd buy one in a heartbeat. All right. So this is quite a race,
awesome.
Nathan.
This is great.
Look at INC Penetrator just 6 seconds back at that 22 kilometer checkpoint. So this is going to be
How
a
are Team
Donnybrook
Experimental
out here.
doing this? This is unheard of, kind of a I mean, if we come into this race
Unreal.
here and the standings as they were coming into this here currently, this was the situation. Team Experimental, we're sitting in 9th place, 86 points, and now they are challenging Restart, Plastic Cockney's Innovation Penetrator. They have figured out the TTT.
This reminds-
They're riding themselves into shape though too. You know, Kim was telling me that he had not been riding a whole lot, and I think the ZRL may have kind of kick-started something for some of these old school Zwifters. Mikey Podzoline's a name I've been commentating on for years at this point. Kim Little, he was the first UK national champion. Look what the ZRL is bringing out of people. I love it.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's really that whole spectrum, right? Some of the old school greats that we're getting to see re-energized, a whole bunch of new riders coming onto the platform. It's never been a better time to get involved in e-racing here on Zwift than right here, right now. These guys
Podsy.
are galloping. The finish is
10
right there
watts
at
per
the arch.
kilogram. Love
Bring
it
it
in
home,
there.
boys.
Gray across the
Done.
line. Love it, love it, love it. Great effort there across the board. Great effort from all
Well,
of them.
if
Now
that
we're
isn't
jumping back in.
If that isn't enough for the win, Nathan, they went down swinging. Team Experimental with a heck of a ride today. INC Penetrator is going to be giving them a run for their money, and that's who we've got right now. They still got 5 riders here as they're just about 2K from the finish. About 3 minutes of racing remaining here.
Still
Brutal.
looking for a little bit
This
of
is
an
where it
update
really
here
hurts.
from Zwift Power yet, but as we do get them in, we will give some more updates here. We'll be able to give you guys a little bit of a look here at the live shots as well. A big thank you for the live streamers that are out there giving us these shots as they do come in. The current situation here coming in for Barnesy, this is his current live stream as hammering away, 5.2 watts per kilogram, trying to hang onto the wheels. You can see the suffering there. The shark is egging him on. He's being chased by a shark. That's essentially what's happening, I think, at this point.
That's how you,
know,
get
you
a
can
couple
always-
extra watts.
You always
Put a
get
shark
more
right
watts when
behind
you're
you.
being chased. I mean, that's
Right.
if you're chased by. Now, I don't know about being in water, necessarily, but
No. What we should just put a poisonous snake right behind you. I think that would serve the purpose. All right, here we are, the Innovation Boys. Bring it on home, guys. just about 1K to go. Nathan, you know well yourself from your experiences. We call it bucket time or trash can time, because you'll never go harder than you do with a team in this formation trying to get the win. It is amazing. Your brain kind of shuts off, and you go deeper than you ever thought you could. This is what athletics are all about. And there's a big difference between going out for a jog or running in the Olympic 100 meters. And these guys are in that Olympic 100-meter category here. All in, gentlemen. Just burying it here.
Yeah,
Legs
and
are
the battle,
screaming at this point.
the battle is really interesting. We're not getting the updates just yet on the on the 22-kilometer mark. We're still waiting for a few of those to come in. If we do look at, I did switch the board there, as you can see, to the 16K. At 16K, we did have Skylab, then Experimental, then Innovation. But it was only a three. Well, no, excuse me. They were tied for that second place spot, this team, with Team Experimental that we did just see finish. Now, if we go back to the 22K, we did get Team Experimental's checkpoint, but we don't have the Innovation or the WTRL Skylab checkpoint. So these two teams that are still coming in, which is WTRL Skylab as well as Innovation, a lot is up in the air for them at this point. So we have to wait and see how it ends up playing out. We're seeing at the top there 34 minutes, 25 seconds or so. I did not take a look at the data coming in for Team Experimental as they came across the line. They almost caught Kane and Dev, actually. As looking through here, restart, I think they've lost time.
Yeah, it's weird because Team Experimental, you'd say like, well, they've already finished, but yeah, they started right in the middle of this group. They were not particularly well seated. They channeled, I guess you'd say, their inner Vetus. Vetus came from 9th place to win one of our team time trials in the Premier League. And if Team X can hold on
really quickly here for you, Dave. Look at the chat. Look at how the chat just flips out on a live stream like this. Just everybody coming through, all the people who are just, wow, lots and lots of cheering coming through. I absolutely love the way that the community supports riders. It's so great to see. So amazing.
It's so cool.
See.
Yeah. It's certainly for a lot of riders out there who are on the questioning whether they should stream or not. I would think just the motivation, Nathan, would really help quite a bit. Just knowing that people are watching and caring about your efforts.
Actually, having witness, and I think that's the thing with racing in general, is it's witnessed. You have a witness to your effort and with that witness, you have.
It doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It doesn't happen where. I appreciate that, Brett Boniface,
and you're having the responsibility to perform for that witness, for them, and even in my training when I had a schedule, so. We'll get the results in as fast as we possibly can, everybody. There's a lot still processing in Zwift Power.
No, but Nathan, think about it. Do you want to quit with 500 people watching you?
No, not at all.
Not really.
Not at all. Not one bit. You don't want to quit with, that's why our show goes on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's the only reason. No, I'm just
We considered quitting many times along the way.
So, no, but that's definitely one of the motivations, as well as when you have a schedule and you know that people are going to show up. And one of the motivations I had as well, first starting out with the whole live streaming thing, was to, change. Part of it was to change the face of gaming as well. And I think that's what Zwift is up to, was, in order to create a exciting platform for cyclists to do something besides looking at a wall, but then also mixing this gaming world and saying, gaming gets this rap that, sitting around and eating Doritos and just, hanging out or whatever, kind of a thing, not necessarily throwing down Mountain Dews. Whereas now we've got this environment where you can mix fitness with gaming, and really bring, time and effort into that whole, and showing that through that streaming and sharing your journey. I think whether it be, for me, it was to show what it looks like to race at a professional at the top level. Chasing a state championship, it wouldn't have happened without my stream. I'm not lying. That's 100% true. That without my community that was around me on my Twitch channel to show up and know that they were going to show up to hang out and either ride with me or cheer me on through my intervals, I can't tell you how many 3x20 intervals I've done over Watopia Mountain with some very specific names that I could name right now. I know their Twitch names and I know their in real life names now as well. And some of these people have come and visited, spent time with my family, had dinner at the table with us that I wouldn't have known otherwise unless I would have started streaming and connecting with those people, and it speaks even further and deeper to those connections that we've made through the Zwift world and racing and suffering together. And that was suffering together and chat freaking out, telling me to get my 350 watts over the top of Watopia Mountain, sub 20 or riot is one of those things I'll have etched into my memories for the rest of my life. So really, really cool to see what's coming out through this whole platform in that respect as well too. So we should have some results though coming in here, and we'll see how things played out. That was a really interesting race there between. Now, is this going to be? I don't think they're updated at this point. Team Experimental has come through, holding down, but we don't have the rest of the teams just of yet. We're still waiting for some data. It is very, very slow out here today, I believe. We may be able to bring in some of the women's results though, as well as I don't think we went through the results earlier from the rest of the EMEA East. We saw what the Angry Bees were able to do, but let's go ahead and see if we can jump on in with the women's results as well as the East, and as we wait for the West to come on through. So let's head on in over where we left off was with the men's EMEA East. We had already looked, I'll just show this real quickly, but we had already gone through this with the Angry Bees. Let's go ahead and head over to the Bees there, and I'll leave that for you to start things off for us there, Dave.
36:49, the winning time for Tugas Montejunto. So they'll take the win with DBR Tornadoes silver medal 5 seconds back. Bronze medal going to Belgian Zwift riders here in week 8 of 10. BZR Lions 1 in third. Wolfpack ZRG R23 in fourth. Eva Vortex 1 in fifth. SZ Heimdall taking 6th today. SZ Forsete in 7th. Kirkmeyer Honeybees in 8th. SZ Mimer in 9th. And the Cryogen Zonkolen team finishing in 10th. It's a lot easier to get behind the Honeybees than the Angry Bees for us fans out here.
I gotta highlight this real quickly here before it's gone. Kim Little, we appreciate you so much. This is the guy who's been around, and he's earned this shout out for being around for so long and so much work in the background here. Fun is fast. Data is slow. Nice one there. I had to highlight that one. Loving it there. Thanks a lot. Appreciate the comments coming on through from the peanut gallery that is going to be Mr. Kim Little. So for the C category then, let's go ahead and take a look here real quickly. It's going to be Team Italy 5, able to pull off a 39.49 with Vikings Valhalla in second place, followed up by SC Vale in third. That was a tight battle for first and second. There only 1 second difference. Man, it always amazes me the TTTs, how close they are with these 1 second, tenth of a second battles over these courses with the full team battling at that 3+ watts per kilogram in this C category. Their Team Type 1 Sharps and the Beastmasters were battling it there for 4th and 5th, but Beastmaster comes out on top. Wolfpack ZRG in 6th, WTRL Caprica coming through for 7th, Evo Core in 8th, Foodsdre Cognac in 9th, and then Cryogen Isurin coming through for 10th place. That is in the EMEA East Division 1C. For the D category, SZ, there you go, Dave.
Yeah, so this is SZ Frey on top of the podium with a 43.33 to take the win. And you can see there 2.4 watts per kilo, so they were a little more efficient than anyone else out there today, as it was 2.7 to 2.9 watts for second and third. The Vikings Osberg taking second. In third is Tugas Psycho. Maybe. Psycho sounds a little much. All right. And in fourth place, I go with the Belgian Zwift riders. Gorillas 1. Kirkmeyer Bumblebees in 5th. CESP Zwift España. The Chinchillas in 6th. GC on the Mend in 7th. The Cryogen Koppenberg 8th. The Newberry Velo Lions will round out our top 9. That's for our D. So that's the East. We just watched the West men finish, and the women fall right in between of that, all encompassing the East and the West all together in their European, Middle East, and Africa division. And it looks like, Nathan, I'll throw it back to you. You've got the Division 1A women.
Yeah, and here we go. Ionian race team. They threw down and they took it out by 27 seconds there at 4.0 watts. Wow. 4.0 watts per kilogram. Sox watts at 4.6. It looks like Ionian have figured something out. Ionian have really figured something out, I think, here. So Cryogen Stelvio there coming down for third place. Sock Schwartz able to jump a little couple more points up from Cryogen, who are trying to bring back a few points, but looks like it's going to be the situation for the top three. And then we do see BRT Atomic Kittens there, 1:15 back from the winning time. SWW Vivo Cliquette. And it's going to be CCY Race Like a Girl for 6th place. Socks for Watts Polka Dot Bombs, followed up by Bristol Flyers, Draft ZRL, and then Revo Arrows in 10th place. Looking through the B category, this is going to be Aeonian also on the top.
It's such an impressive outfit. Aeonian Banditas taking the win with the 39.58. Second place going to TBR Dance On. Socks for Watts, SBR Cake in third. Cryogen Coiffaire in fourth. It's SWW Bollinger in fifth. BVRT 6. CCY Race Like a Girl, Kalini in seventh. AHDRL, that's Australian Hump Day Ride Ladies, Bells on Bikes in 8th, and R3R Bewitched 9th, Revo Snickers in 10th. That's a good look at the Bs.
Looking through then for the C category, it's going to be SZCF Cryogen Telegraph there in the second, 30 seconds back. Aeonian Chicas, followed up by SWW Moat, Socks for Watts, Watts Nuts. And then KRTC, Hotter Than Hell, coming through 4-6. Clapham Chassels, followed up by Vikings Freya. TFC Storm in 9th, and then Fearsome. Now, I want to give a shout out. I am guessing that, and this is we're kind of doing some featuring here today for the streamers that are out there. I may be incorrect for this, but on the women's side of things, I believe Carissa Starr is streaming her TFC Storm battle as well in this C category. I may be incorrect about that. I believe she's riding in the C's, TFC Storm, but I know she did stream today, her side of things as well. She was one of those 30 streams that were out there. Make sure to go check that out. Carissa Starr over on Twitch. Big appreciation. Then Fearsome, they're rounding out the top 10 right behind TFC Storm. And then the D category, Herd of Dolphins.
Yeah, good job, Dolphins, taking the win over the Aeonian Diosas. RCC Women D in third. That winning time of 45.27 is only 2.5 seconds back to the Aeonian squad. In fourth place, TBR Wiggle On. BRT Blazing Kittens in fifth. Revo Rebels in sixth. GC Spokes and Mirrors in seventh. IRL Serrano Hams in eighth. Herd of Dolphins 2 in ninth. And CMA Misbehavin' in 10th for our women's D category. Good job to all the ladies out there racing today. Look forward to seeing you next week for the ZRL.
Well, we are still waiting on the data. We're waiting on the data, everybody, so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, I think. We're looking through, and it does look like, unless I'm incorrect here, I'm going to wait and make sure. I just want to make sure. We want to get it right the first time. Sounds like it's back. No, okay, maybe I'm just really surprised by the result. I think I'm just really surprised by the result. Oh my goodness, is this going to be right here? I'm just going to double check. I'm going to bring in our man.
That's an indicator to double check.
Yeah, because these are, this is pretty amazing. Here, Mr. Martin, I'm going to bring in the voice from behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, who we never show. Wizard of Oz, where are these correct? Are these what we're looking at here? Is this right?
We're talking about the men's EMEA Division 1A?
1A, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just tapping my little red shoes together here to see if I can get them working, but they are as right and correct as as all the data in the companion app in Zwift Power is saying. So,
wow, big ups here. All right, well, thank you, Martin. Wizard of Oz has spoken. No place like home. Let's go on over to the results, as that's gonna be the second place. That's there's no place like. And we're coming back to the old school here, and that is going to be Team Experimental are on top with Kim Little with a 35.45, 1 second gap to Team Tour 2000 Callus. Innovation with a 6.44. Restart, they're back 8 seconds. WTRL Skylab 15. So that last. From that 16 kilometer checkpoint through the end, something went down between all these teams. There was some major shuffling between the teams.
Well, Team Experimental dimmed the power grid on Watopia with that effort. There's still lights flickering in Ocean City with that 34-45. That would have stacked up quite nicely in the Premier League, racing on the same course, same distance. So Team Torque 2000 Callis in second. It's only 1.33 seconds back. The Penetrators from INC 6.44 back. I mean, when's the last time that we saw 4 teams within 10 seconds? That's incredible. With Restart in 4th at 8.23 back. WTRL Skylab in 5th. Z Sunderstatement 6th. The Plastic Cockneys. It's amazing to see them in 7th, to tell you the truth. Bike Strong KTM in 8th. Evo Vamos 1 in 9th. Rowan King the Jedis in 10th. Nathan, we haven't seen this much disruption in any division as what we're seeing right now. Yeah, so Casey must have had quite a chat with them in the team car before the race.
Now, I think one thing I want to say is you're messing with some of the dudes who have been around for 5 years now at this point. We're talking Casey Shum, one of the first winners of the live streams that we've ever done. Having him in there as a DS, he knows Zwift like no other there, and definitely going to have a good chat there. We're seeing also old school power coming through. I mean, Matt Wheeler knows what's up here. Julian Beiser, also a Team Experimental rider at one point here, saying, well done, Team X. So, I mean, a lot of these people in chat here, they know this team for a long time. They've been cheering them on for a long time. Definitely one of the originals, and big shout out to them on taking that down. It's good to see them back on top because they haven't been around in quite a while, and they got their act together. And also the reality with them is that TTTN was not something that they had perfected. They were a scratch race winning team over and over and over again, and Casey Shum is one of those riders who might have a 4.5 but would win the sprint at the end of the day against guys who have almost 6. So they know what they're doing when it comes to Zwift racing. So good on them on what they were able to put together here. Now, Dave, here you go for the B's in Innovation and Alien at the top.
It was a 36.56, taking the win at 4.1 watts per kilo for INC Alien. The silver medal going to WTRL Skyfall. BRT Draft Beers in 3rd, KST B1 taking 4th, AAF in 5th, and now in 6th place it's BRT Craft Beers. KRTB Psycho Circus in 7th, it's the Cops in 8th, R3R ELO in 9th, and DZR, the Road Rascals, rounding out our top 10 for the B's.
Something my brother always used to say. My brother used to always say, you guys are in trouble. It's the Cops. They're coming. It's the Cops. So shout out to Kyle Guerra. Loving it. But, when you said that, big memories coming through. Belgian Zwift Riders, Rhinos, 3 coming on through in first place. 3.4 watts per kilogram at 40.27. TFC Bugatti, followed up by TFC Mercenaries in team battle. Wow. Look at that. 20.9. We're talking 6/100ths of a second. Between TFC, are they in the same team car with matching effort? I mean, what is that? Awesome to see. Absolutely incredible. The Big Ring 44T coming on through, needing a little bit. I'd put on a bigger ring here, but fourth
not
place.
That big. Yeah. All in all.
KRTC Love Guns, followed up by Sox for Watts. What's up, Doc? Followed up by RR Willie Rhinos. I was trying to do a Warner Brothers joke there for a second, but the rabbit just missed me. BRT Cheetahs there, followed up by Zwift Scotland C1, and then Z Sun Underdogs, rounding out the top 10 for the C's. On over to the D category.
Thanks, Nathan. It's Cryogen Hard Not Pass with a 44.14 for the win. Herd of Fools and Horses. Yikes is what we say every time we hear that team name. 23.79 back. In second, RR White Rhinos in 3rd, TFC Wolverines in 4th, the Draconis from BRT in 5th, the Serranos, IRL Serranos D in 6th, Herd of One Trick Ponies in 7th, Team Italy 4 in 8th, Zwift Scotland D1 9th, and Team CLS Racing D. That rounds out your top 10 for the EMEA, that's Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, Division 1D.
Well, that is the situation. Let's go ahead and see if I can get an update here real quickly. I believe we're going to wait on the standings. We'll let everybody head on over to WTRL for the standings, everybody. as they get things updated over there. And also give a shout out on all the things that are upcoming. There's a lot of updates actually on the WTRL.racing website about if you're enjoying the ZRL, all of this is put together by WTRL, and they put together some of the best events when it comes to Zwift racing. And the TTTs, obviously in the ZRL, but there's other stuff going on as well that they're starting to get involved with. Definitely check it out. We've got something cool happening with WBR coming up here as well for some charity events. So head on over to WTRL.racing, check out where the standings are at, and get involved. Sign up and start racing the TTT with us on Thursday. Registration closes 1 p.m. CST, 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow. I'll be racing OTR.
I would like to implore our WTRL family to get behind the World Bicycle Relief movement that's going on. I saw that Martin and Stephen kicked this off and looking to raise over $50,000 to help get bikes. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with the movement of WBR, World Bicycle Relief, but basically for around $150, you can put a bicycle underneath someone that will help change their world and the world around them. And we can use, as they say, the power of bicycles to do good. A lot of us are lucky enough to be in an opportunistic situation in life where we can help others, and this is a great way to do it. No one does more good on this planet than WBR, that's for sure. So I'd love your support on that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a little. It's like $130 some, I believe. 100.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
it's
want to
not much
misquote
money,
it. It's not a lot. It's in that mid
and
100s there for one Buffalo bike, and that does change someone's life forever. Like no
and what
joke,
you're
the
doing is
opportunities.
yeah, I mean, and there's a big effort to get these bikes under young women. And if you want to peel back the onion and learn the story about what happens with these bikes and how they change a community, each bike impacts way more than one person because that bike. So that 14-year-old student that's using that bike to go to school, well, her younger brother borrows the bike in the morning to go gather wood. Her dad will use that bike later in the evening to run errands. Everybody in the family will use that bike. There's accountability around it. It's what we can do to make a difference in this world. And sub-Saharan Africa needs our help more than any place on the globe. They're still dealing with the AIDS crisis there, with what's happening with COVID and worldwide economies. I just really know that there's a lot of good people that can help support that. And I'm happy that our friends at WTRL are using their platform now to do good in this world. Because, Nathan, you
Yeah,
made the point earlier. I mean, when you look at it, Zwift is great for your mind. It's great for your body. Almost every time I ride, I end up meeting a new person. So we make friends, we do ourselves a favor, and we can help the world too.
yeah, and it is in conjunction with 3R, WTRL and 3R and WBR all coming together to make this happen. And that story you just told there, Dave, if you think about it, somebody who's able to bring milk to the house quicker or trade something quicker that used to be walking or not going at all to collect the things, how much quicker everybody in the household, their lives are changed, how much quicker everyone in the community's lives are then changed as things are happening faster with basic resources, how much we take for granted a lot of times when we get into a car and just drive somewhere. Whereas somebody with two wheels like this completely changes the opportunities that they have in their life for only $147. Thanks a lot, Martin, for letting us know. Prizes, celebrity teams, lots going on with it. I think I'm going to be jumping into a team specifically for this as well. So it's going to be a lot of
Good.
fun. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it, but for an amazing cause. And you're obviously learning a lot more about it on the day of the stream that we'll be doing with WTRL. So, all right, thanks everybody. If you want where the standings are at, we got through the results and everything. This was the WTRL Zwift Racing League week number 18 time trial on the Watopia Waistband. I'm Nathan Guerra Dave Towle next to me here as always. And we had amazing races. We saw times right up against a lot of the Premier Division. We can see the teams that are really chomping at the bit to be promoted in the Premier Division. So into the Premier Division. So it's going to be interesting to watch it play out over the next 2 weeks. Make sure to hit those Follow, subscribe buttons, notifications to know when we go live next. We'll see you on the WTRL TTT. Oh, no, we will see you tonight. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. We're live again, America's East. And we actually have maybe some guest Discord going on again tonight. So that'll be a lot of fun. But we'll see you in just a couple hours. We're right back at it. And until then, make sure to also, man, there's just so much going on. So much to be talking about. Nations Challenge this weekend before the UCI Worlds. We're going to run a video on that, and we'll see you in just a couple of hours for the America's East. As always, everybody, right on.